the bed, I'm treading lightly. The demons in my head are sleeping quietly. Please don't wake them up. I'm just not strong enough. Signal getting low, I'm disconnected. My head is tripping out like it's electric. No use trying to pray, they'll catch you anyway. Same streets, but I'm all alone. Same house, but nobody's home. Stone cold and a fade in the afterglow. Caught in the upside down. If we're in the clouds, monsters all around. Can't find my way out. Caught in the upside down. Screaming in the sound. Sinking underground. Can't find my way out. Upside down. Say the laws of physics don't apply here. 11 hours since you back a light year. Thought I knew myself till the walls started to melt. Same streets, but I'm all alone. Same house, but nobody's home. Stone cold and a fade in the air. Caught in the upside down. Careful in the clouds. Monsters all around. Can't find my way out. Caught in the upside down. Screaming in the sound. Sinking underground. Can't find my way out. Caught in the upside down. Same streets, but I'm all alone. Same house, but nobody's home. Stone cold and a fade in the afterglow. Caught in the upside down.
Welcome in, Deadlock fans, to day number 2 of the Guildlock Lan qualifiers. It's Philly, it's Trick, and we have 8 teams and only 6 spots left for the LAN in August. We've had an awesome day of group play, and now the top teams from those groups must battle not only to survive Trick, but to get the best seeding possible heading into the LAN.
Yeah, and the best seat possible is to actually play there, and that is what they are fighting for today, man. 6 out of 8 will be moving there, as mentioned by Philly, and I am pumped. You know, I didn't get to watch all the games today, but the few that I did see, it seemed like we were having some really good standouts towards the end there, which means today is going to be the conflict of all the good teams really slamming into each other, which is exciting. And for me, like, I've kind of been a little bit AWOL for the meta in general for the last couple of weeks, so I want to know what Yoshi has done with this game, right? Like, we know there's Risk, we know that Earn is now a single target type of objective, so I get to watch that unfold with better players than me, checking it out so I can copy them and hopefully climb in ranked.
I think it's a very exciting point of the meta.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of heroes that you can play. The objectives are oh so important, as well as the macro play. So there's a lot of things for these different teams and for you at home to play as well. But let's talk about this matchup real quick, Trick. We have 0K, and they finished 2-1 in Group D to make it through. And then we have the University of Toronto. They finished 4-0 in their group. And so it's been, they're on a roll, that team.
Yeah, these are our teams, no matter what today, are going to be the top 2 in their group, so you know that they are the cream of the crop, if you will. But University of Toronto did beat Cheesy Breads, which is a Poshy Pop team, and Poshy Pop is a name in Deadlock that we all know and recognize, so that makes me really excited to see their matches. And then 0K did walk away with a 2-1. They had one less group in their group. There was 4 out of the 5 of the other groups, but still, being able to pull off that W is exciting, so it is kind of curious where exactly we're going to find them at the end of today's match, which is a best of 1, Mr. Philly.
That is right. And so our quarterfinals, best of 1, semifinals, best of 1, upper bracket final, best of 1, but our grand final will be a best of 3. And as we mentioned, 2 teams will be eliminated. So whoever goes down to the lower bracket from this first round, there's a chance to go home. Everybody else from that point on will survive, but it really just depends. Are you seed 1 to 6 moving into the LAN?
Or do not even go, man. We just go for the juggler here, dude. That's esports. It's some hardcore stuff. We just straight up kick people out of brackets here. We don't play around, man. Which is always super exciting for us. And for me, too, like, I'm kind of curious about the bans when we go into the draft and whatnot. We've been seeing Doorman just completely obliterated on ban rate. We've been seeing Pocket as well getting destroyed for, like, the last 2 months, to be quite frank with you. And I'm wondering if there will be any change-up, especially with it being a best of 1. It is a very important element for you to consider when you're heading into your first match.
I love best of 1s because it's really, you can go with like a weirdly cheesy strategy, and if you know what, if the other team's not prepared for it, you can just win it outright because you've only got 1 shot. Or you can play it more strategic, more defensively, and kind of just play your game, your tried and true tactic, and go from there. So a lot of opportunities in this one. But Trick, I do want to shout out something important, and we have our contribution link alive right now. We've actually raised over $200 from yesterday to get to our prize pool now, which means we've unlocked our very first contribution goal, which is community voted themed drinks at LAN. And Trick, I know you said you wanted an apple martini named after Viscous.
Dude, I am the guy that enjoys umbrella in their drink, and I will admit it all the way through, bro. I am all about that life. So if you give me a Viscous related drink that is green with an umbrella, your boy is gonna be sipping on that, which is a little scary because I think I'm gonna be casting some matches actually at the LAN itself. So maybe I should be a little bit careful when it comes to that. But yeah, I think that's super exciting, and I don't know if we're gonna be having anyone submitting any ideas for drinks, but now would be a really good time. It's cool that we've unlocked that, and of course there are more things for you to unlock as well, going up to $3,000. Ultimately, this is a crowdsourced LAN in terms of cash monies going to our players. If you enjoy what you're seeing and you can spare a few couple bucks, the economy can be kind of hard, feel free to do so, and we'll be eternally thankful and be a part of it. I think it's really awesome what we're trying to do right now. Deadlock's not even out yet. A lot of people are like, man, this game has a lot of players. It's really popping off. Bro, we haven't even released this game, and we are still out here running tournaments and having a good time. So thank you to everyone that contributes.
Rick, you and I were talking about communities across a number of different titles, and we mentioned how Deadlock is one of the better ones that we have found. There have been a number of wonderful people that we have gotten to meet along the way, and that's a reason for this LAN, right? It's a reunion of sorts to bring players, casters, production talent, fans all across the country together in California to just have a good time and just enjoy each other and enjoy the game. So we hope to see you there, and we hope to see you in the chat at the very least. Well, Trick, let's, without further ado, get into this one. I mean, there is plenty to talk about. The University of Toronto plays in the Deadlock Collegiate League. They have Johnny, who's a stellar. He actually went to the LAN last year that was in Toronto that Deathy supported and saved.
Cool.
We've got Styler. I mean, there are plenty of top-name players on this University of Toronto squad.
Yeah, for me, I'm still getting familiar with a lot of these names that are on this broadcast today, but that makes me excited, right? I am constantly sniffing around for new blood, dude. I want to see people taking over.
Status.
I love all the players that are currently at the highest level play in Deadlock. Do not get me wrong, but man, there is something exciting about somebody coming in and taking their job, dude, and I'm all about that. Yesterday, we had an incredible play from a Holiday player yesterday on, I believe the team was Breakaway Berserkers, excuse me. I'm sitting there watching Hexy play out of their mind, and I'm like, wait a minute, this person, they got something going on, right? That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking out for, and that's what these LANs are all about. If you think you got the juice, bring it to a LAN and show it to everybody, right? You got the ability to hop into a match. Because, like, why we don't see a lot of rosters change at the highest level is because people are familiar with each other. They know them not just on their skills, but also, like, mentally, right? If you don't know how a teammate's going to boom at a LAN. If you can come to a LAN and win with a team, or at least have a good performance, this is how you get your name out there. So I find that incredibly exciting, and that's what I'm watching out for.
100%. I love to see the players in the hot seats under the spotlight, right? You can really see the beads of sweat as they're going after it, trying to win for the
What's
cash
your favorite
prize.
part about esports? The beads of sweat on their forehead when they're on a stage, man.
or the sweaty palms. I know my hands are already sweaty. We're warming up for this match. Well, we've got our P's and B's ready, Trick. You mentioned some of the highlight heroes that have been banned a number of times in Deadlock throughout every different tournament over the last couple of. We see the Pocket, the Doorman, things like that. But the thing with these teams is that there's so many other players that you can blame because there are players that have specialties, right? If there's like a viscous one trick or whatever it is, have the teams done their research. For now, though, Pocket, Doorman, as we predicted, taken off the board. Yep, bye.
And before we get into this, because this is a normal ban for us, you know, Doorman just being incredibly strong and annoying, and then, of course, Pocket with the massive affliction that could always be game-changing. We can see in the chat, people are already excited for certain types of players already. We got Shami Cast, who we know who Shami is. Oh my god, the real Johnny Deadlock from the hit school University of Toronto, the winners of DCS Season 2. I didn't know that, and now I learned. Owner of an apartment in downtown Toronto, handsome support player, and rich. He is so cool. Now I'm excited. I'm pumped. We got players in chat already here hyping these fellas up, and that is what it's all about, baby.
That's what I'm talking about. Shammy, shout out to you, but Shammy, I think, also goes to University of Toronto, is a big fan.
Oh, are you saying that he's a paid chatter?
Yeah, he might be glazing him a little bit, but I'm going to be glazing the draft here because I think University of Toronto have picked two of the strongest characters in the meta right now. We've seen the Mirage just blow people away with multiple Dust Devils, can teleport around the map, the Digins Mark does so much damage, and then the Shiv can be frontline, can assassinate, but can be a little inty at times, right?
Sure.
You have to play, this character has a high skill ceiling for everything it's worth, but on the flip side, 0k, an opener, that's a little unconventional.
Yeah, I mean, Billy makes a little bit more sense. Obviously, he's one of the better frontliners and has been for the last couple of months. He just can easily get in there, great around the rifts in particular. Being able to land his one on targets, giving him extra HP. You can really pop off with a Billy if you can get to that laning phase. But Sinclair is always interesting to be as a second pick. A second pick usually indicates to me this is a character that they have put a lot of time into and they are confident with, right? Typically, if we see a Sinclair in draft, it's to respond to the opponent, right? If you have a Dynamo, you have a Kelvin, you have these big global AoE ults that you can steal on a lower cooldown, by the way, it can be really impactful. So I am looking forward to seeing who is playing Sinclair and see what they can bring to the table. And then we get into Furnace, who's going to help out with the scaling, but also relatively safe pick in draft. It doesn't really give away anything in terms of what you're trying to build towards.
Yeah, position-wise, 1, 2, or 3 can kind of fit those roles. Any lane, he's usually the side lanes usually is where he'll be. Can pair with the Billy, can pair with a lot of different things. So I like this as kind of to round it out. But yeah, I think the Sinclair a little bit early on the pick for me. I mean, usually second half would be better because then you have some bans going through. And speaking of bans, the Silver, which after these rounds of adjustments on the 9th, you know, getting her cooldown on the ultimate reduced, I think really bumps her back up into priority, can be really lethal in that early game.
They're trying to figure out where exactly Silver fits in Deadlock, and I think they're starting to get closer towards it. Before her recent nerfs, definitely a little crazy, and then she got nerfed and kind of fell too far out, but now I feel like she's starting to feel a little bit better in general. But I do agree with you, the Sinclair pick coming in at number 2 is going to be under the microscope, right? Like, this is a character that you want to see in the later stages. Imagine if you had Silver there, right? You would have Billy and Silver together, you have a great front line to build off of. So this is something that 0K really believes in and something that we're going to be focusing on in the draft. Now, Lady Geist is going to be the answer for University of Toronto as a ban. This character has continuously been a strong point in Deadlock's history, just being able to be a side laner that can really push the envelope, and with us having multiple objectives now to play around, Geist feels a little bit better to pick up in the draft than where she was a month ago, so I can totally understand that ban.
Yeah, and she's also a resource sponge, right?
Yeah.
So people, you think you can dive her, right? And then she'll soul exchange or life drain and keep herself alive in these engagements. So really difficult to take down. And 0K are looking for that M1 kind of carry. So who do they go with now? You have maybe the Warden, maybe the Wraith, which we haven't seen in a while. So there are still some options, but now they're kind of in like the second tier of priority. But they're going for the Viscous, recognizing that University of Toronto wants to play fast, but they got the best save character in the game here with the Goo Ball.
Yeah, you can try to bait Shiv in maybe a little bit too far with that cube if he starts to go for a quick pick or go for a kill there. Lock it down, slow him down, maybe knock him back in. Shiv actually is one of these characters that wants to be able to dictate where he wants to be in a team fight, and Viscus can actually disrupt that quite well, so I actually like this pick a lot. I am looking for maybe a little bit more roaming potential. Like, I'm kind of missing a Lash right now or a Holiday in our draft for both of our teams, to be quite frank with you. University of Toronto right now, and oh, there's my roamer. Calico coming out here. Very good at disrupting the back line. Maybe a little bit hard to get top of an Infernus, but if a Viscus uses a cube, for instance, and you call that out to your teammates, now Calico can go in and either disrupt the Viscus or a backline squishy like Sinclair here.
Yeah, I really like this. We've been seeing Calico kind of always be in the second part of the draft over the last month or so. Really helps with the composition that University of Toronto wants to go with. They're trying to play this full-on dive. Right now with the Yamato there too, they're just going to be bursting people down. They have to have a strong early game, especially with these two picks who really want to get that snowball going. Yeah,
I like it. It gives you a little bit more frontline-ness. It gives you a lot of chaos, which I think is pretty important in Deadlock, actually. We have 12 players on the battlefield at once, and being able to add a couple of folks in there that can disrupt a plan or a shot call is worth its weight in gold in Deadlock. So I love seeing that here. I maybe would want a little more support here for our final pickup on University of Toronto, but let's see what 0K is going to be heading into. Because right now they have great objective control, if you ask me, with Viscus and Sinclair and Billy. The three of those combined with an Infernus tapping away with some flames left and right is pretty darn good. And we get a Graze, which, as you can tell from Philly's reaction, is a little on the rare side. She did recently get some buffs as she fell out of the meta flavor for a little bit, but I don't think we've seen too much Graze this weekend, so this might be a first for us, at least for what I have seen.
And this is so interesting because she's incredibly vulnerable to a lot of these divers,
sure,
right? If you dodge the grasping hands, then you're just like, okay, now I'm out of luck, right? So is she going to be more of this split pushing presence, going for more of that like necromancer build where you just get all your summons, you just can push a lane or whatever? Or is she going to be the M1 carry because she can go like essence theft and just really kind of tag on and grasp some of these mobile heroes? So it's like, how do you protect it? And they're going to try to do that with the detective here in the Abrams as their final pick.
So I'm actually a bit of a Graze enjoyer. I've been playing her recently a lot lately. Graze actually, although she does have the split pushing capabilities available to her, against a Calico and a Yamato, I think I'm with you, Philly. I'm staying away from that, right? Unless I know for sure they're on the minimap somewhere else. Graze can actually be really good along duration team fights, right? You get the Arcane Surge, you put that on top of your Tombstone, you put it on a weird spot where they have to get out of position to get it, and you have zombies constantly coming in and bringing pressure on the opponent. They don't have to hit anybody, they just have to zone out. So I think that does bring a lot of control here for 0K, but I agree with you that Graves gonna have to play very, very well here to be able to handle the fight of Toronto, who has now added a Bebop, which brings a hook element into the mix.
Oh man, and I actually love this as like a kind of an X Factor pick.
Sure.
As for the
you gotta give me the X Factor. You gotta pull it up, man.
Yeah, that's right. Because, like, I mean, you can grab some of these heroes and just, like, especially the Graves. I think that's who the Bebop's going to be looking for more often than not in these fights. And if you can then force out the cube because of the hook, that then allows a free dive in for your Calico, Shiv, what have you. So I really like this. I don't know, Trick, talk to me about the lanes for the University of Toronto, because I feel like they might struggle just a touch.
Yeah, Graves actually suffered a little bit in the early game. If she doesn't have good pacing going her way, if there's like weird misclick that happens in the lane, she can actually kind of struggle. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see how that unfolds. So there is a decent amount of scalability for 0K, of course, with Infernus being there, and then of course Billy getting a couple of items on him. But I kind of lean myself a little bit toward University of Toronto. You know, you have dive potential, you have quick kill potential, you have hooks, you have Yamato who can decide to just win the lane if you're out in the middle or you cross a bridge a bit too much. And then on top of that, they transition very, very well into the mid game with Mirage. I think Mirage getting buff was absolutely asinine. Like, I saw that patch, I was like, Yoshi, what are we doing, bro? What's happening? With that World Traveler now having a higher cooldown reduction towards the late game, you can literally bounce between lanes as needed. So if University of Toronto can do well in their lane phase, they transition quite well into mid to late. This is certainly a burden on 0K to do a solid job in the first 9 to 10 minutes and not fall behind, or I could see them struggling and have to make crazy plays on objectives.
Yeah. There's definitely some big snowball potential from University of Toronto. It's cold up there. They're kind of used to creating those avalanches, and then 0K, more of this team fight-oriented conglomerate, right? Want to play around these objectives, but they can't fall too far behind because let's say the Abrams or the Billy doesn't get farm, they're just going to be Swiss cheese out there. So let's take a look at the rosters and see where we stand. Big Fat B is actually a substitute for Hunger, and you know what? His top played hero is the Bebop, so the Australian Scrap Golem is going to be a pivotal point for this squad.
And then I'll be keeping an eye on Shiv as always. I'm currently on a Shiv arc right now, so I'm going to learn a lot. The movement is obviously something that the top tier players are always trying to consistently get good at, so I'll be keeping an eye out for that. And then on the opposing side, we do have Soap, who's in the chat saying, hey, good luck to all teams, especially that Sinclair player. And now I know why, as he will be the one playing Sinclair. So I think that's going to boil down to is how does Sinclair and Viscous do in this game, and will they be able to hit those pivotal moments to turn around these team fights?
Well, it's time to deadlock and drop into this best-of-1 upper bracket quarterfinal match between the University of Toronto and 0K. As we take a look at the mid lane, we're seeing the Venator and the Bebop. This is a lane we've seen a lot of times before, right? Because the Bebop can roam, Venator's okay with kind of staying in the middle by himself, so I really like that for him.
Yeah, once Venator gets all three of his abilities up, he's a pretty safe laner, right? You're able to go into monster rounds, you'll have your grenades to harass your opponent, you have your traps around corners. So agree, this is a very nice staple map for the mid lane for University of Toronto. On the other side, you do have Viscous and Sinclair, which will take a little bit of time to ramp up as well themselves. On the other lanes, though, I'm looking over to the far right. We see Abrams and Graves, who will be facing off against Shiv and Yamato. So that's actually be a bit of a passive lane. Might actually recommend moving into Restorative Shot for both of those players, just to make sure that they don't get harassed out by Shiv knives. Extra Regen can also be a wonderful item as well against a Shiv, so we'll see how that goes for them. Actually, we have the Restorative Shot already, so nice job here by Graves. It gives a lot of sustain. You're just trying to get toward your ultimate, right? The moment you get your Tombstone, you can really finally open up that map, be able to start to push in your lanes, and we'll see how that will be unfolding for them.
But I like this. If they're gonna have the lane constantly pushed against them. So as long as they can farm under tower, get their souls, prevent denies, they'll be fine there. Abrams is there for more of the bodyguard status. If you die, I will shoulder charge you. I will eliminate you. And there's some good potential with the grasping hands into the shoulder charge as a combo. So I like that. But this dive from Johnny and for Radical can be extremely scary if they do it to perfection. On the flip side, though, lane 1, we haven't talked about it just yet. This Mirage already putting the hurting on, getting a couple people low.
Yeah, moving into monster rounds, and is that going into regeneration afterwards? I actually have not tried that Mirage. Interesting. I can see that actually being quite impactful for sustaining on through. But yeah, with Mirage, you definitely want to be moving into monster rounds. Cult of Sacrifice can also be a great option to get you to that mid to late game at the same time, but keeping a lane push is pretty much the name of the game, right? You have your Scarabs for harass and whatnot, so loving the build so far here for that far left lane. And he is against a Billy, right? So as long as you just play the spacing well and don't let Billy engage, Billy's laning can be kind of hard to get on in there. So solid pressure here so far for University of Toronto, to the point where they're even getting Billy down to half HP. Poor Julian. A little bit frustrated with that. And we actually see some pacing going well over here on the third lane, as Abrams and Graves are actually starting to be able to push into the opposing troopers. Look at that.
I mean, we called it. If it's one grasping hands into a shoulder charge, these characters are dead at this point, right? They're so squishy, they don't have their items or all their ability tiers unlocked, what have you, and that's exactly what happened. So a great counterattack coming out from Rich and Famous, looking to put their name on the map. It is that 3-minute point, though, so the boxes are going to be hunted down, but it might be the Goo Man who gets his name off the checklist, and the reinforcements have arrived, however, and the Priest will be able to escape from this one. It's a good little smattering in the mid lane.
Yeah, that wasn't good for Enigma over there as he gets picked off there. Venator even going for a crazy play there. He went for a knockback straight into a heavy attack, and I don't think he had 2 points into his 2 yet. He was just feeling the vibes. I love when a player comes into a round and pulls that off. With Sinclair coming over to help out with the defense, he was able to pull away. But what Venator was doing was stealing white boxes, right? If you're able to just jack 100, 150 souls away from your opponent by going into their jungle, you're always going to feel really strong about that, especially a Mouse 1 carry themselves. Speaking about Viscous, he's gone into Monster Rounds and Mystic Burst, so one to try and poke pretty well in that lane and harass our opponents down, so nice pickup so far for him. But we are getting close to the buffs, Mr. Philly, which will be spawning at 5 minutes.
I actually like University of Toronto's opportunities to get these buffs just because of how their characters can roam for them, right? They're very effective at moving around, and there is that shoulder charge to put Shiv in an awkward position. The grasping hands, though, just barely missed their trick, and so the Shiv can get out of dodge, but the Viscous won't be so lucky. It's an Enigma no longer. The question mark answered. He's at the gray screen, so too is Johnny.
Yeah, interesting build here for Yamato. She's gotten items that are naturally good on her, like she got that melee lifesteal to pick up as well. But as you have mentioned multiple times, Abrams has great control. You know, the grasping hands from Graves makes it hard for her to get in there and ease those punches off. And she was just straight up harassed to death there. Quickly, a couple of kills coming in, and we are suddenly turning up aggressively for both of our teams. Here in the mid lane, we do see a pick on Bebop, and they are looking for another Abinator who is low on HP, and that's going to be 2 picks here for 0K.
Oh man, Mots, that's not a character you want to get off to a good start, right? If the Infernus just starts stacking up, it can be difficult to take him down. But this is surprising because normally it starts popping off when the ultimates come online, but these teams getting after it early. This is the upper bracket quarterfinals after all, so they want to try to get their, you know, if they make it past this round, then they make it into the tournament, right? So this is a very pivotal match for both of the teams.
And you can tell people are locked in. Right now, Angado, I believe is how you pronounce that, or Angad XO for University of Toronto. Hang on, there's a hook here for Sinclair. He's going to drop a rabbit, try back away. A little punch comes in here from Viscous. Bebop trying to go for a knockback, and finally they do get away. Hang on, though. Maybe Sinclair low? Okay, finally just back up. Angad is doing a great job on Calico, constantly pinging the opposing team. And this is actually something that a lot of people should be putting into their own gameplay. When you ping an opponent, it actually puts a little red circle on the minimap for about 3 to 4 seconds, which is essentially free map hack, and that's going to allow for Mirage and crew to stay alive. These guys are getting every bit of information they can. Graves right now trying to get more, though, is trying to go straight in for Shivs, and this Graves is kind of paying off, Mr. Philly.
And we were talking about that in the draft, right? Because the Necromancer hand can just grasp onto anybody. Sure. It doesn't matter how mobile you are. You gotta have a lock on, and being locked on right now is the Grave, the flying slash right into their face, retreating under the Guardian. However, is the Blackmore Academy student, but I think she'll be put into detention. Nut has been killed.
Yeah, this is one of the things you do want to do against a Graves is she suffers against a number disadvantage, right? Yeah. 3-on-1, and I guess that kind of makes sense for a lot of characters. But Graves in particular, yeah, she can only lock onto one target, and if she's not able to have her zombies up around her, it can be quite difficult. And the Graves is building in a Mystic Shot, going for single target pops. It's a cooldown reliant item as well. And so University of Toronto was able to identify that and come over and stop Nut from getting too much stuff going her way. Great pickup by Toronto. And now as we head into 8 minutes, where Sinners are about to spawn, we are very close to Souls, 28 to 25, and yes, Philly, things are getting heated up here in the middle map.
And this is exactly when you want these Guardians to go down. It's a gank into the mid lane to take down the return to Shadows just bursts. Soap. There's nothing that they can do, and the kill feed is just going every which way. It's almost hard to tell. Wow, but the Guardians in the mid will be felled for the University of Toronto.
And this was a good pickup by University of Toronto with Calico. One thing that is an interesting element about her, if Soap ever tries to go for a bunny rabbit and try to lock her down, she can answer with her shadows, right? Pop her 4, can respond to it, very easy reaction time, and we saw it just there, which allowed for her and Bebop to work together to find a kill. Big Hook does come out, putting him under the corner. Abrams, though, pretty darn tanky. He has a lot of green items here, as well as a battle vest, and is able to get away with the help of his Viscous.
That is big, and you know, I kind of want to talk to you, Trick, and maybe I'll have to wait for that. It's the Shadow transformation now for Johnny, the captain of the squad, leading the charge, and will be leading the kill feed in deaths. They will take down one, but this Abrams, as you mentioned, full vitality, has the spike and everything, doesn't care if he gets hooked. He's being the front line they need him to be. But eventually has to turn around and deal with Johnny on this Yamato, and as he's doing that, his teammates fall around him. Enigma goes down, and so too does the rich and famous.
Yeah, still like the movement there, though. Abrams was doing a lot in those fights. If he can continue this trend going forward in the mid to late game, he is going to be a nuisance. But here's something that we were missing out on the far right lane, lane number 3. We have that tombstone out, and oh my gosh, the zombies come out and find a kill on Shiv. And that Walker, look at this, at 9 minutes into the match, Philly, it is down to 25% HP, and there are still troopers there.
And we were discussing that too, Trick. Is this Grave going to play more of this split pushing style, trying to create map pressure that forces University of Toronto to kind of separate a little bit?
Yeah.
Because if they take a 1v1, then maybe they can win it out 0K. But if they bring numbers how they want to University of Toronto, they will win those fights. So a good difference of strategies between these two. But I want to talk about Soap on the Sinclair. I mean, what ultimate are you even stealing here?
Yeah, that's why it's so weird to see him in the draft earlier, and when we were talking about them in the draft at a number 2, you usually want to do Sinclair as a response. And don't get me wrong, he's great on his own as well. But the execution burden of a Sinclair is incredibly high. If you have not played at Sinclair, you are constantly putting down your assistants, you're throwing out a few firing bolts, you're trying to get distance on them for extra damage, you're dropping rabbits. Like, it starts to become a lot on the mental aptitude that you got to really have for that character. And it becomes a little bit easier when you have ult to steal. So I like that point from you here. What do you even steal? It's probably a Calico ult if she's up on top of you, right? You got Bebop Laser as well, but other than that, the other ones are kind of single target. Shadow Transformation doesn't really do too much for you. So I am kind of curious what Soap is going to do himself here to help out with his ultimate.
Oh, we'll have to see as this match progresses. Right now, it is the ultimate. The crossbow from the heavens now has been unleashed. But I don't know if he can find the right shot right into the chest of the Infernus, but he'll willingly take that shot to get the kill. It was a fight over the bridge buffs that went the way of 0K, but ultimately, it's the urn in the hands of University of Toronto.
And I like that play from the Venator, even though Styler did get picked off. What he's trying to do is create a lot of space on the far right lane, and this is a symptom of letting Graves push you all the way into your Walker, right? You don't want to lose a Walker so early. They're very vulnerable, actually, the first one out of the 3. And so he was just trying to create a lot of space here, but that allowed for 0K to rotate in. So honestly, I'm going to give that kill to Graves, because she really set that entire thing up. And there goes the first Walker of the game early in the match at 11 minutes. And oh my gosh, these two teams are just full bloodlust right now.
This is okay. This is full-on burger boxing at its finest, man.
Hell
We're loving
yeah.
the Burger King and the Cursed Apple. But I actually love this as they knew the urn was on the other side. University of Toronto is bringing numbers to get the urn in. Graves is on lane 1 trying to push that Walker down. Obviously, the defense came through for Toronto and they saved it for now. But I like the way that they're manipulating the map, using these lane states to create the pressure and maybe get some farm ahead. But right now, we're pretty much even in souls as the urn has finally been returned.
Yeah, I think Angad was able to grab that there with the Calico, so nice little pickup for them. And that is one advantage I do feel University of Toronto is going to have. Their urn running is phenomenal, and they have a couple of characters, well, 3 actually, that I think would excel with running that. You have Calico, of course, you have Yamato, and then you have the Shiv, who, you know, it's never a bad idea to give Shiv money in this game.
Intense mobility for him too, right? You can use his alt fire to knock back, and you can see the movement there. Yup Noodles is our observer for our match today, so thank you, Noodles. Yeah, what a go indeed. But we have the Rift now available. We talked about 0K having the better Rift fight. They have the Chain Gang available. This could be massive. I'm looking for Soap, who's on the other side of the map, so won't be available to hex anybody. But Johnny the First put 6 feet under, and Shiv trying to use all the movement in the world and smacks right into a wall. It's the team fight win for 0K.
And that showcases why Billy is so strong around the Rift turn-in. Shiv was trying to build up his rage so he can get the extra abilities on all of his 1 through 3s, so he can be a very effective fighter. And at about 60%, Abrams and Billy decided they were going to disrupt that quickly. A Shadow Charge into a Billy knockup makes it very hard for Shiv to do anything. And when Shiv can't move, he gets picked off, and that was showcased there, even though he had a somewhat decent escape towards the end. And Abrams is continuing this pressure, Shadow charging straight into a Calico, and now they're starting to answer back with some damage on another Walker. Viscous does come out with a cube, and Abrams is trying to get away here, dropping down the heavy punches for a little bit of movement, has 1 Shadow Charge. Can he make a miracle happen here? I'm not thinking so. 3 knives is probably going to be an end of the detective there, and there it is.
I mean, it makes sense. Rich and Famous trying to utilize the Rift Troopers to get this Walker down. But the Rift Troopers, to me, Trick, they're not strong enough yet. I know they just buffed them with some resistances to Spirit and melee damage and whatever, so they're technically harder to clear, but I just think they're just too weak in general. So trying to do something with it, but then ultimately gets caught out. I think the most detrimental part of that whole engagement was on the flip side of the map. The Walker in lane 3 was taken there by bots. Yes, he sacrifices his life for it, but they get that slot.
Yeah, they certainly do. And at least it's going to be a nice equivalent exchange between the two. In fact, I'm quite happy because yesterday we had a lot of group stages that may have gotten a little bit more snowbally around this time, and we're very close, 70 to 68k right now. Both these teams are playing phenomenal macro for their team compositions, and I kind of have a bit of a different opinion when it comes to the Riftwalkers. I agree with them being weak up until they're actually on the walker themselves. If you can get the stomp mechanic to come out, you're good to go, and I think that was kind of the intention there, but Abrams did such a great job of disrupting and trying to make sure to use his AoE abilities around the area. They didn't get too much. I fear the next one, if it happens the way we just saw it, they could get a little bit more damage in. The problem with the next one is going to be on the far right lane, which really isn't too helpful for either team because they've already killed the walkers.
So we'll see if they even trade that one out or if they go for a different objective, as Faradical is being burnt to a crisp. Mott's with the toxic bullets as well, just bleeding him dry. No bloodletting can save him, and the friendly Guardian will be felled. There's a nice hex onto the Calico. Wants to be more of a cat than a rabbit. Must return to the shadows. As you mentioned, Trick, the leaping slash to get them on top of this pillar. What? No way! If they get out of this, it will be immaculate escape there for the arms dealer, but the essence theft is right on her tail. This Calico is moving all over the map and will get out of this. The silence wave just for insurance, but still Trick the battle. It rages forward. It's the front line now. They're here to stampede onward, and no hook in the world will save them. Johnny goes down.
And that is why I love Deadlock right there. Engad on any other normal player would probably be dead. You put me in the driver for Calico there, I'm probably dead. But the dude is moving around, bouncing, getting to height advantage, buying time for stamina. Team is rotating over, and he gets away with just a few HP points available to them, and the team is able to get the engage, fully going their way. That could have been way worse for the University of Toronto. 0K does come out with a kill on that front, but we still get to see the individual gameplay just being very important for our players. And speaking of individual gameplay, we have an urn already in the mix. Billy's starting to rotate it over, and we're gonna see if we can turn it in. Billy, what is your gambling bets? If I were to bet $5 against you, does this urn go in or no?
I mean, now that you could just deposit it, and we'll have time to talk about this bet, maybe we'll have to shake on it as we have a pause now right at the 16-minute mark. But you mentioned the University of Toronto, great urn runners, right? Lots of people with mobility and that sort of thing, but 0K. I mean, I don't feel like most of these folks are really necessarily quote-unquote good at the urn runner, so maybe give it to your tankiest player that can kind of just take the shots as they're, you know, like the orc in the Two Towers of Lord of the Rings, just like got to dive in for the bomb, just like blowing it up, and I feel like that's what they're going to do with this Billy and these Abrams.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. Unless they had a wide open lane, just throw on your front lines and let them be the engager for you. The main issue here is Calico. Calico's 2 into a light melee. It makes it very easy to disrupt that urn turn in. She can grab it, of course, and drop it off afterwards. So we're gonna see how that unfolds. Currently, thanks to a very tactical pause. Thank you, University of Toronto and 0K. We can look at the map right now and see there's going to be a 4-on-4. Graves probably on the way here, and she does potentially have her tombstone up and available to get that dropped off as well. So this fight could turn into a big old bout, and what you got to be careful of is we are getting towards that 16-minute mark. It is a bit early for a mid-boss, but if this fight goes one side, there's a Guardian to take, there's a Walker to take as well. This is actually a big pivotal point for both of our teams.
No, I was just going to mention the same, right? If one team comes out of this unscathed, there's so much on the map for the teams to gobble up. What is detrimental right now for 0K is look at the health bar of Soap. They are so dang low, and they need him to provide the hexing rabbit, right? Maybe the audience participation to get like shadow transformation or return to shadows, whatever. And this is going to be tough for him, but has maxed the hexing bolt and the rabbit first. So I don't know, man. Without their support, could be tough.
Yeah, gotta agree with you. And I'm just looking and more. Like, if at this moment, if you were to, like, do a tweet and you're like, who wins this fight? You know, I would probably vote for University of Toronto, right? The point of Soap that you brought up, right? And then you have Mirage on the far right, who can world travel in at any point. And actually now with us bringing down the items, we see that Graves doesn't even have her ultimate, which is going to make it a lot easier for them to win the team fight around this area. So having no ultimate definitely makes it harder for Nut and crew to win this. I actually think Toronto is in a great position to pull out a W here. So we'll have to see how that unfolds when we come out of this pause, but this is certainly something that 0K needs to be talking about right now.
And if I'm them, I would probably give up the urn, because you have this Guardian here, and it's going to be Swiss cheese, right? It's going to last for maybe 10 seconds, but, you know, poke them from your Guardian, then back up slowly, and then maybe your Graves can push this mid-walker a little bit, get some damage trade in that regard. Because you are up in souls right now if you're 0K, so if they get the urn, Toronto maybe be up by what, 2K or something like that. So nothing crazy out of the blue. They get the golden statue buffs, which I think is the biggest part of that. But what else can they do around the map to maybe facilitate this Graves, who has 16,000? That's almost the most in the lobby.
Yeah, I think really opening up the map is one of the best things. Making it a risk for Graves to do anything on the map, because she does have some of the lowest mobility in the game, right? Yeah. I mean, everyone has mobility in Deadlock, but hers is definitely on the lower end, as she only has 2 stamina bars, and usually you have to build on stamina mastery. And if we check out her items relatively soon, I can see if she has a few more of those built up. But that is certainly something for them to consider, and just breaking their portions of the map is always useful. Now, let's go ahead and hop into it. Ooh, we do have a big buy already here for Calico as well with that Hunter's Fury as well, making things a little bit easier for her in 1v1s and also in teamfights in general. Here we go. Earned drop-off currently happening. Yamato keeping an eye on it. Abrams trying to hold out, and Venator is right around the corner, man. Ready to drop that ultimate.
Yeah, this is good positioning from the University of Toronto, but a great sneak in from Julian. They get the deposit down, and the Souls their way. Now Graves is about to enter this fight. Can they keep her alive? That is the question. Yamato knows that she is the VIP, the primary target, but the Flying Slash gets disrupted, which means the Shadow Transformation must be utilized to get the cooldown back. Will they find a different target? No, it connects again, and Nut will be split in 2, but way into the back lines is Johnny, but that's exactly where he wants to be. He's taking all of the punishment, but getting all of the kills. It will be Mats, though, to come up with 1. That's a big trade there, but the earn ultimately goes the way of 0K.
Yeah, I think University of Toronto was hoping for maybe a little bit more there. Johnny finding the kill feels pretty good, also getting the pick on Abrams, but I think they really wanted that Guardian. They even committed the World Traveler to have Mirage Camaleo over, and he was on the right side of the map, but they just couldn't quite find the angle, didn't have any troopers mixed up in as well. 0K did a great job of making sure Infernus was able to wave clear and then turn around and find a couple of picks there. Look at the amount of farm that is currently on Mott's right now. 21,000 souls. That man hurts.
I mean, they're on a kill streak, right? I think they're 5-0 at this point, and they're able to clear those tier 3 Denizen camps with ease. And this could be a scary proposition for the side of University of Toronto. How do we take down this Infernus? Because they're dumping all their resources into getting the Graves. Well, then you're leaving Mott's to free fire on it.
One thing that's going to make it a little bit easier here is Mirage has got his own toxic bullets, so that's going to be very impactful. I'm wondering if he's going to be moving into Ricochet next as well, which is going to be helpful for multiple reasons. He has Healbane as his 3rd item, which is going to allow for them to try and shut down Billy and Abrams in these engagements to make sure that healing is a little bit more nullified. So Mirage is definitely the answer here for University of Toronto. And then they can find a target and get him low. We've already seen what Johnny can do. His job is to just full send it, bro, on anyone in the back line and try to pick off Graves or Infernus. So they definitely have the options. They definitely have the ability to get in there. The only major issue right now for University of Toronto is they do have a bruised up Walker on the far left, and that next Rift is going to be spawning up relatively soon, so they're going to have to make sure that they mitigate that well.
And I'm wondering now if, 0K, if they send the Abrams and the Billy, right, Julian and Rich, just send them into the front line to create space, somebody does have to hang back, whether it's Enigma or Soap, to protect the Graves. So those two have to almost be connected by a string. And then for me, it's like, it has to be the Sinclair, because you need the Viscous Cube to save your frontliners as they're getting beat up and whatever. So it's going to be interesting for me to see how 0K kind of plays this front-to-back style as the next Rift is opening. It looks like it'll be on this left-hand side again.
Definitely layers in these team fights, for sure, Philly, that you're bringing up. We do have all 5 members of University of Toronto near this Rift. They are certainly looking for that fight, while at the same time, Mirage is pushing on the far right as well, so we'll be able to World Travel in at any point. 0K needs to try and stress out the opponent, and here comes Yamato, once again. Diving for Graves. Here's a Shadow Transformation. Looks behind her, sees she can find a target. Doesn't find the Graves. She does sneak out. Comes over, drops on the sword, and they are low on HP at the moment. There we go. They got the pick on Infernus, and that's a massive, massive pick.
Oh, and they're getting everything in the kitchen sink too, my friend. They've got the Rift and they've got the kills, and they can take this Walker to boot. And look at the Trooper Wave on lane number 3. It is massive, so maybe the base Guardians will be next on the menu as well. And we know the tempo and the ferocity of University of Toronto, and they exemplified it there with just a crazy quick fight.
And look at this. Remember, after the, I think it's 19-minute mark, the death timers go up pretty dramatically for a lot of the players if you get picked off. And so that is a prime opportunity if you get 2 to 3 picks to go straight for a boss call. And that is it. The mid-boss has now been grabbed. University of Toronto has 3 rejuvenators. They have full map control, and they have 4 minutes of rejuvenator control, Philly. This is a pretty good position to be in if you're a fan of University of Toronto.
100%, and they get the buffs to boot.
Oof.
And they get the urn. They get everything on the map. We said how pivotal that team fight was going to be, and yeah, we're seeing it now. A massive increase in the soul lead, about 10,000 between them. And what I'm really looking at is Styler, who's on 22,000 at the moment. It's a player we've talked about here and there, but this is the guy they'll need in some of these fights. Yes, the Mirage is good, but he has other things he's thinking about. Venator, only pumping damage.
And I love the build that he has here, too. Look at it. We have Fortitude going into the recharging abilities as well. Hollow Point, Cult Sacrifice, slowing bullets. So basically, he just has grenade build. He's able to just pop his grenades onto the targets, make sure they're bleeding out, getting low on HP, and he can focus on trying to like kite for himself and peel for himself. That way they can enable Johnny to keep doing what he's been doing, which is running it down on a target. It's nice, it's safe, he can back away from a fight and heal up thanks to that Fortitude. Love the build coming here from Venator. It's a nice, safe, generic build that is almost needed in most types of compositions. He's moving into an extra charge as well, probably going to build up that rapid recharge as well, so he can fling those grenades left and right. Loving what we're seeing from him. And Yamato also getting nice and defensive. We have Reactive Barrier, we have the Heal Bane as well. Now moving into the Spirit Snatch, moving into a Spirit Resistance. Knows that their job is to get a pick, try to live as long as possible behind it. If the tanks come back and peel, you have the reactive barrier to help you, and you should be able to walk from a fight. Loving the position of Toronto right now. They seem very confident in their choices of builds and making sure to work as a cohesive unit.
Yeah, they've been playing together for a very long time, this team.
Shows.
And so, yeah, it shows for sure. What is concerning for me, though, is 0K. How are they getting picks, right? They don't have a Holiday, they don't have a Paradox, they don't have someone to displace people, right? Bebop either. They don't have an assassin really to go into the backline and disrupt anything, like a Drifter, Calico, what have you. And so these engagements are very telegraphed. They're just running right at you, and then we'll see if we can survive long enough to deal the damage we need to do. And Julian, just taking all the damage in the world, will be slain. One Riju Crystal now expended for the side of the Yamato, but Johnny says that's one well worth it as long as I can get this Walker and get into the backline.
Oh my gosh.
Walkers are down to trade, as Mats was not even in this fight, and they need this Infernus to dish the damage, but when it's all said and done, the Walker does go down in the mid.
Yeah, that's a good point. They did get a consolation prize with the Walker on the far left due to Infernus, a little bit more extra cash as well. And then poor Soap is probably a little sad from that hook, because I think they were actually in a good spot there in that 5v6 until that hook came out. So Bebop, being that X factor that you were talking about, get them a little bit more kills than 0K was hoping for. But I think the plan is pretty telegraphed right now. Julian has to go in, try to get off a decent amount of chains, and then from there it comes down to comms. How is the opposing team reacting? Who can we turn around on? And they tried on the Walker to get a kill on Calico, but there was such a great ult from Angad that they weren't able to follow it up quite well, and that's where it turned into a couple of deaths. But overall, with how that went, I think 0K is still okay, but we're getting to a point where those souls are starting to become a bit of an issue. 20k lead is not something to get crazy about, but it's also nothing to sniff at. That's some decent extra items available here for Toronto. And remember, we talked about Venator, who's at 27k souls. We know about Mirage, who now has Ricochet. It's about to become a problem. They're going to have to find a way to get in that back line while also holding down the insane frontline pressure that Toronto has.
I mean, let's think about it. Let's say Mats and Nut just 2v2 go up against Styler and Misclicked. I feel like the Venator and the Mirage will be able to win that fight out. I mean, there's so much damage that they can do. So then what is Nut's primary objective in this game now, right? It's not safe for them to kind of split push, so they really have to work around this gravestone and win these team fights.
Yeah, I think the time for split push is probably gone for Graves. I think now it's just like, hey, my zombies are here to be a part of the fight. It's just more, I don't want to use the word visual clutter, but, you know, visual clutter in the way of University of Toronto. You know, when you go for a grappling hook on Johnny, even if she is close to any type of those zombies, it's going to be disruptive. But hang on, Mirage here gets caught out as 0K finds a target, and these are some of the ways you can get back into a game. You get a number advantage. You find someone that's meant to be split pushing. thing. Usually it's the face of a Mirage or maybe like a Lady Geist. If you find them picked off and you're able to get them kicked off quickly, then you take control of the map for a little bit. And now suddenly University of Toronto has to play more of a pokey style and back away and make sure they don't get caught out of position.
That's a timely pick indeed now, as the next urn has descended upon the Cursed Apple. So as they're making their way there, I think they grab one buff, but one buff goes the way of University of Toronto. So we'll see if they can leverage that in this next fight. And they are quicker to the draw here, Trick. They're able to snap up the urn, and there's nobody there to defend it on the deposit point.
Nice heads up play there, putting on Calico as well. There's also going to be a rift spawning as well, so now University of Toronto has the urn to be able to drop off, which is always nice to have options, right, whenever you are in a position of where you can't win a team fight. And so ZOK has to decide, do we want to contest this urn or do we want to go for the rift? And it's looking like they want to go for a rift and maybe even a pick. They're looking for Shiv, who can be, you know, not the easiest character picked off, and I love what I'm seeing from Toronto right now. They dropped off the urn, they caught wind of a few people thanks to Shiv being able to hear them walking around, and they go straight for a walk. And ZOK is not in position at all to defend this. They do send Graves over, but I fear Graves might not be enough.
Yeah, as you mentioned, doesn't like a numbers disadvantage, right? If it's a 2v1, could be disastrous, but she does enough with the Borrowed Decree to kind of defend this walker for now. There's a number of troopers there that they'll have to clean up, but the battle is about to break out over what was the urn deposit point. Looks like the seismic impact will be enough to high-five. The teams will back off from this engagement, but the rift was secured from the side of ZOK. They claw back some souls, but still down 14.
I'm loving what I'm seeing from ZOK right now. They're behind, but they're not behind where they feel like they can't win a team fight. They are being aggressive on the map as a unit, a group of 4 or 5. They are constantly leading the charge here with Infernus and Abrams, knowing that they can get away from it if they need to. And they're always playing off of the information that is given in the minimap. So many times in a MOBA, most folks won't utilize what they see on the minimap. They see Shiv on the far right, they're like, oh, that's a 65, we try and take it. And they move in, and they've done it 3 times now in the last couple of minutes, and granted it only got 1 pick, but it's still things they are doing on the map which naturally makes University of Toronto start to play a little bit more passive around those fights. I'm loving what I'm seeing from these two teams, and it's a shame that we only get a best of 1, to be quite frank with you. This would be such a great team to watch play over 3 to 5 matches.
Well, you can if they make it to the land, both of these teams. So that will be an extreme one to watch. But this is where ZOK, if they had a Paradox or a Holiday, then they could pick off this Shiv, who is just kind of lingering by himself. They got the Mirage, a couple minutes ago, and fortunately, because there was no Traveler online, so that was great recognition from them. But now, in these situations where they have to turtle up, have to defend, what is something that's going to dislodge the University of Toronto as they are spreading themselves across the map? This is where their composition kind of falters a little bit. They can play if they get reactively jumped, but how are they going to take initiative?
Honestly, it just comes down to a great game of patience. ZOK knows for a fact that if University of Toronto gets ahead of themselves and goes for a mid-boss, for example, ZOK can go in and disrupt that. No problem whatsoever. You have Soap, who most likely probably has Echo Shard by now, which will allow for him to have the double rabbits, being able to control that space. You have 2 frontliners that can get in the middle of a fight. Probably 5 points on both Billy and Abrams at this point, so they're unstoppable in their engagement. So that's what it comes down to, is ZOK is like, all right, we just need to have someone in earshot of the mid-boss. Just make sure they don't go for it. If they do go for it, that's our trigger pull. Or, we can just hit a hook there, and poor Graves, this is not a situation she wants to be in, locked into a corner, trying to skedaddle away, but that's going to be GG for her if she gets picked out. Billy tries to go in and force a fight on the far left, but I don't know if this will be enough, Billy. It's 2 down for ZOK.
Yeah, and that's your Graves. There's a bulk of the souls on your team, and now Soap, what are they doing except getting melted? And so too is Julian. Enigma's able to clap back for now, but I mean, that's just the least he could do, and that was disaster from ZOK, having the Graves picked off, and that's exactly what we were talking about, Trick, that ZOK needed to do. Instead, it happens to them.
And that wasn't like just a random hook thrown out there. That was an insanely good hook coming in from Big Fat B. And remember, he is subbing in for University of Toronto, and this is a character he excels at, and he just showed it to the world why. So nice job by him. University of Toronto is going to turn around and focus this mid-boss and grab these rejuvenators and open up the map from there. They already have troopers pushing on the far left, hitting in for those base guardians, and they can start to make a play for that mid-walker now. Admittedly, that mid-walker is probably one of the hardest ones to push in, but there's still death timers ticking down for ZOK, so they can make a play here if they would like.
Trick, I thought the Rejuve crystals were 3 minutes now instead of 4 minutes. Did they just change that back up, or is that like?
I was wondering that as well because I saw Mr. Jason Kaplan typing about it, and I'm like, well, I don't want to make Jason Kaplan doubt anything that I say, but I'm seeing the numbers right here, so we'll have to check out and see if that's a replay bug or perhaps something changed in the background. Well, this is a live broadcast, so this just might be a UI element. We'll have to see in the future what's going on with that. But Yep. That is definitely one of those numbers.
Well, that's great. I mean, University of Toronto can make great use of these extra minutes that they have, and they've taken some great structures. I'm still looking for them to go after that walker on the left-hand side. For now, they're going to elect to go for this urn, and they've been putting it on Calico time and time again, which if we had the statue buff tracker, she'd probably have over 30, I believe, at this point. Just absolutely wild stuff, and normally we see Calico fall off at this point of the match, but doing great so far, currently on a kill streak. Yeah,
that's why I've actually really enjoyed this urn change that has been bounced back to being a single kind of thing, because characters like Calico and Drifter, I don't know if you've faced off of Fed Drifter, but them being able to rotate and get those urn turn-ins make them more of a terrifying factor going into the late game. And it's definitely given a lot of room for roamers to be effective in the match. So gotta agree with you on that analysis, Mr. Philly. And this is just kind of what you do with Rejuvenators, right? You grab everything on the map, you just be incredibly greedy, you have extra lives to expend, and this is how you get a lead in Deadlock. And then usually in the last minute, whether it be 3 minutes or 4 minutes, it doesn't matter, at the last 60 seconds, start pushing out and try to get something else on the map. And you already see Toronto setting up for that. We have middle wave pushing, we have far right troopers pushing as well, and Mirage in position to teleport in. And 0K is aware of this. They know in the last minute there's going to be a push somewhere. They have 2 people on the far left. They have their main engager with Billy and their main damage dealer with Infernus, who has great wave clear. Let's see how it unfolds.
Well, all the ultimates are available, my friend, for either side, and so we go. It's time for battle. Billy trying to engage with the Chain Gang, but immediately found out the Anarchist. Nothing he could do but play a swan song as he gets TKO'd from this fight, but Abrams says, wait, I'll swap my HP bar for yours. A great shoulder charge onto 3, but the rich and famous, more like poor and dead, as he has been destroyed. It's one Rejuve crystal down on the side of the Bebop, but that's okay. He was there more for the pick anyway. The true target, though, has been the Walker, and it's facing some extreme scrutiny at this moment. Yamato has utilized now a Rejuve crystal, but is still on the chase. A great flying slash to take down the Billy to below half health, and they get the Walker, they get the fight.
0K is able to get 2 Rejuvenators, and I was going to say I was okay with that trade until Port Viscous got picked off. Now they're down to 4, but the final Rejuvenator finally dissipates due to that timer. So 0K able to hold on for there. Trading out a Walker for a couple Rejuvenators is some of the best case scenarios you can get in that situation, as long as you can get the opposing team to back up. And University of Toronto looks like they have decided to go ahead and back away. They have some centers on their side of the map to go ahead and pick up, continuing to further Calico getting those buffs so she can continue to go in the late game. And that Calico right now is currently on a hot streak. Looking at her items, she has an Echo Shard, moving into the Arctic Blast, already got the Boundless Spirit as well. She is a zooming cat lady.
And she's a bursting cat lady too, right? True. You get on top of some of these squishies like Soap, like Enigma, they're dead. There's nothing that they can do. What I want to see from 0K, however, is the layering of ultimates. I feel like we haven't been able to capture a good sequence of abilities. Everything seems to be reactive because they're just out-tempoed at this point from University of Toronto. That was the key word from the draft, is tempo for Toronto. And they're just getting pedal to the metal this entire game, and I love the aggression that they're playing with because this team composition demands it.
Yeah, at some point when you're in a scenario where you're this far behind and you've just been playing defensive, sometimes changing the pacing up can be really impactful. They haven't had the opportunity, because think about the last 2 team fights. One was started with a hook, and the other one was a Rejuvenator disadvantage. This is probably the fight that they would want to choose if they were all up and available on the Rift Herald or the Rift area, because of course you get that comeback stats as well. But sadly, not everybody was up, and University of Toronto is already in position to grab full control of it. We see a fight potentially in the middle though, because Calico's going in for a possible one-on-one. Billy's trying to capture her, but the thing you've been talking about this entire match is how does 0K catch people? This Calico is just too slippery.
Very slippery. And not only that, you've got the Yamato, you've got the Shiv, you got the Mirage.
Yeah.
These are very shifty characters. And now they're down 50k souls, or almost 60 at this point. It's like they couldn't even engage in the Rift if they want to. So this is kind of death by 1,000 cuts at this point, Trick, because they are going to turtle, and eventually University of Toronto will beat down the door. Probably wait for one more mid-boss. Now they have complete map control. Get the rejuves. They'll have 9 lives like a cat. Just go on in with the Calico and win the game.
That is probably my least favorite way to die. Slowly getting cut down, dude. I am not a fan of a paper cut. I am the biggest baby. So I sympathize here with 0K. And I'm actually kind of wondering, can we get an item look, Mr. Noodles, whenever you get a chance? Shout out to our observer. I'm trying to see if we have like slowing hacks or knockdown, because so far they've been having to build a lot of defensive items. They've been doing a lot of spirit shielding, spirit resist. I'm looking for things that can try and help them lock down a target. We do have slowing bullets, which is something helpful on Abrams. Weighted shots as well. But no major activatables to get on top of these targets, which has made it so difficult for him to get in there. And I understand the problem, right? Some people are like, Dispel Magic kind of counters that and whatnot, but you still need those items to at least make your opponent a little bit more terrified. And who knows, if you get that one pick, it's worth its weight in gold. So I'd like to see maybe a few changes in their builds, maybe a little bit earlier to try and help out with this, because they didn't draft the roaming. But 0K right now, they're just running off of vibes and spirit resist and hoping it hits, and I'm worried it's not enough.
I feel like that's how I live my life. Vibes and spirit resist. Those cursed spirits are gonna come after me, but I agree. Even if you use the slowing hex to get the Dispel Magic off, that means maybe your chain gang in the future can be utilized. But okay, there it is. Applied and sinkered.
Off.
It is indeed, but they need to get more, not just the Mirage, who's now down for 80 seconds. The Goo Ball stuns up one, and it's a pinball machine. Johnny will be slain. This is the engagement they were looking for, but Matsno has gone down on the back end of this fight. It's full on chaos. There's the grasping hands. Nobody has been caught in the clutches, but maybe actually it is the leader of the Baxter Society who will be eliminated from this one. A great turnaround now for 0K.
All right, maybe Big Fat V should be a full main player on this team, because he turns around and gets some decent damage on some targets. But University of Toronto is down 3. 0K was able to get that Mirage pick and squeeze out a couple more as well. And now they turn their attention to a mid-boss. 0K, with just vibes and spirit resist, are able to get a pick, and they have turned it into a mid-boss. Now, hang on. There is a vendor coming in and a Calico. They may want to contest for this, although I probably wouldn't advise for it. They're moving in. Here's Bebop driving forward. Has the unstoppable, goes for a hit. There goes one rejuvenator, 2 rejuvenators, all 3 go to 0K, but the bombs are going off, and 0K has lost 2 members. University of Toronto is looking for more. Here comes the Calico. Philly, can they do it?
I mean, I think they just did it. They got all 3 rejuves with only 2 members in the pit. How? This is just showing this 50k soul Calico. The burst was insane. The Arctic Blast going crazy into that fight. And 0K, they went for the hero play. They got snuffed.
Meow. Now, this will potentially be a walker in the middle. Oh, just kidding. Calico says no, thank you. With the help of a Yamato, they're able to clean up 2 more members of 0K, and that walker still stands erect and ready. My golly gee, University of Toronto, despite being what I would consider a number disadvantage, and granted they're ahead in souls, right? But usually when you have those number advantages this late in the game, you don't want to do too risky of a play. They just show the confidence and the willingness to be a team, and they want a spot at the land for the guild house. They show up, get the cleanup, kill the rejuvenators, and defend their walkers, and are now on the offensive. I'm in love with Toronto.
That's a great tug of war in this match for sure. But now, with multiple members up, they are knocking on the door. Just another set of base guardians will go their way. If they can grab a shrine here, I feel like that might be the nail in the coffin for 0K, who's still down about 50k souls at this point. That is a mega disadvantage for him. And I'm looking at the clock here. We've got about 1 more minute till the urn. They might wait for that, get some souls, get some extra golden statue buffs, and then go from there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the map right now. It's currently painted yellow all the way here for University of Toronto. 0K is about to have all 6 spawned up, and right now it needs to be a discussion point of like, all right, guys, we have held on. We've had a couple of good moments. What has been working for us, and how do we succeed? So far, what has been working for 0K is being in a position of unexpected chaos, right? That has worked out for them so far. Finding a random pick, whether it be on Mirage, whether it be Shiv by themselves, they haven't really found a way to contain this Calico, and perhaps not even in the game plan. So far, it's been get on top of Mirage or Venator. If we can kill them, we can win on the team fight. So that is what I'm looking for here. I would love for them to maybe move towards this Rift and try to get a fight to go in their favor. Use those comeback mechanics to hopefully help them out. And Calico's actually already scouting ahead for that. She realizes, all right, if I can find out where they're at, get some information from my team, I can make sure they're in a good position to defend.
And she's cutting the wave, right? Making sure there's no troopers who are able to fight here in this mid lane or this side lane and get some extra damage on the team. I'm looking at Nut though, has the refresher, so going for this Necromancer build, I want to see these ghouls do some work in this fight. Unstoppable forced out early for the side of the Abrams, so too is the seismic impact, but the Rift has been secured, and that's going to be a heck of a lot of troopers storming down the lane, but will maybe burst it into oblivion, and it might be Calico who gets shoulder charged and splattered against the wall. The returning shadows, their only saving grace, and they must leaping slash out of there, but not able to secure the kill. Now the chains will rattle, and will any big fish be caught? The rising ram, no max HP damage on this fight. The flying slash though, like Spider-Man through the streets of New York City, going awry, but the samurai not securing any kills. The support's deathly low, and there is an Enigma who succumbs to the damage the defense holds once again.
Yeah, 0K could have possibly turned that fight around because the two who were focused were the supports, Enigma and Soap. The rest of them were actually pretty healthy. The problem is they actually had troopers pushing into their base, so they had to survive the fight. If they did not survive the fight, they lose their shrines and potentially lose the game. So they backed away. But I loved the adjustment there. 0K, I believe it was Rich and Famous who bought the Slowing Hex and went for a hard engage on Calico when she turned it around the fight, hit her with the Slowing Hex, and that was enough to find the kill on Angad. And sometimes saving an item that can disrupt your opponent for the end game when you assume they were supposed to have it earlier can be that chaotic moment. Great play there by 0K, and that's why they're still in this game. My gosh, they're now grabbing an urn, turning it in right now on the far right. They do have a large amount of time before Calico is back on the field, so that's going to allow for them to try and stabilize. And now we are getting to a point where the difference in souls starts to become kind of negligible. You're getting toward your late game builds. The biggest issue right now for 0K, Philly, isn't that middle wave. Look at it right there. Just standing tall and pretty. That walker, man, it needs to die.
Oh, but it's so hard, right? It gets it's the last one standing, so it gets the extra boons, but there's the negative resistances too, because it's been 42 minutes, which is a crazy long game. I mean, I don't think I've seen anybody go over 80 souls in like a competitive match that I've casted before, but we might see it today. These guys are farming like madmen. I mean, misclicked almost at 70,000, which is nutty. The mid-boss is the next objective, and it looks like University of Toronto is eyeing it, but can they secure it?
Yeah, that would be a great pickup for either team here. You do have to worry about the possible combinations that can come in. There is a Vortex web that is picked up by Soap, which means he can pull all those members into a Rabbit Hex and try to get the mid-boss. He's in position for it. The mid-boss is being grabbed. Philly, take it away. I'm too nervous.
Oh no, it was a great hook to play bodyguard there from the Bebop, so the Abrams couldn't dive in, and there was the attempt at the Rabbit Hex, but now it will be an attempt on Soap's life, and yeah, he will die for his transgressions, his trespassing into the pit. The ghouls will just get obliterated, and this is going to be a fight for the University of Toronto. They thrive in the chaos, they were born in it, and they excel in it. They take down two, and they get the rejuves to boot.
And they put Mirage on the far left. Remember, this is a best of one, perhaps a best of three series. You just push it the middle and try to grab the shrine, but you need to do everything to the book in a best of one. So Mirage on the far left will now push the wave, and remember he has that quota reduction, so he can probably come up later on. But with 3 rejuvenators and the timer available, they're going to start moving in for these shrines. Start burning them down, get that extra pushing power available on those troopers, as well as denying your opponent some more farm as well if they are able to survive this onslaught. And there is still 40 seconds left for Soap and Rich and Famous. So the poke is going to have to come from Infernus, but they got to be careful because Bebop right now has continued to be a deciding factor in these matches.
And Bebop is scary, but this Calico is really what I'm looking at. I mean, 60,000 souls. The chains will be leveraged once again, but nobody hooked into this one. The shadow form now expended from the side of the Yamato goes for the Bar Decree first, has to get the ghouls out of the fight, but standing tall in this front line is the shadowy samurai. Will go down, but the Rejuve Crystal will bring him right back into the fray. There's the second shrine that has been dismantled in the base. We knew this was coming, inevitable for the side of 0K, and they still are hanging on, Trick.
Shiv getting away as he always does with low HP. University of Toronto now backing away after grabbing that Hidden King, but Yamato has been locked down. And remember, they've already used a Rejuvenator, so they have to complete a skedaddle here. Oh, looks like Julian was unable to get the full chase in. And Furnace tries to turn it around, does find a pick on Bebop, and is nice and healthy here. If he can space this correctly, he might be able to save the game here for 0K, but it's getting harder as Shiv is starting to chase him down. Luckily for him, the Flame Dash is here just in time, and he also has to help out with these troopers, because the Archmother is under 25% HP right now. It's getting lower and lower by the second, and 0K has lost all 6. University of Toronto are able to move forward and win this best of 1 in an incredibly close game.
Yeah, that was a good back and forth affair. Yeah. I thought 0K had some comebacks. They won a good fight, got some objectives, but I think just the team ability, if that's even a word, right, of University of Toronto, their chemistry, their trust in each other, you could see that in the way they played the game, the way they were making calls to take down different targets and eliminate 0K one by one. So Toronto, they will move on from this best of 1, secure a spot at the LAN. 0K, they go down the lower bracket. They've got to fight for their lives.
They sure do. I think I would really just put it down to composure, honestly, for University of Toronto. They really seem to understand where their ebb and flows of combat are. It really seems like they have lost in certain ways and discussed it and knew how to bounce back. Like, in particular, that mid-boss fight, where they were down at a number disadvantage and knowing they had a lot of firepower in Calico, sending Bebop in with the Unstoppable to pull a lot of attention towards him so Calico can come in and clean up. That is something that you have discussed with your team before, and being able to pull that off was very impressive and shows why they are very deserving of them being at the LAN. I'm actually very excited to watch them play, and I can't wait to see them play the rest of the tournament, but man, that LAN next month, it's going to be special.
For sure, but Trick, we've still got way more Deadlock to play. There are so many other teams who are fighting through the bracket, but let's take a look at the MVP, and it is going to be Angad. I mean, this was an incredible performance on this Calico.
Gotta agree with you, man. I am an enjoyer of Calico, and he has restored my faith in Calico. I might go queue up a game and int my face off. I can't wait. Thank you so much, Angad, for giving me and my teammates that experience in the future. Beautifully done all the way through. And shout out to the sub, the Bebop player, man. Incredibly done by Big Fat B. Had moments that just straight up gave University of Toronto advantages that they could pull off. And coming in as a sub and pulling out a performance like that is always impressive. So shout out to him as well.
I mean, this Calico, 31 objective damage. This is, no pun intended, leaps and bounds over everybody else, right? If I could do math, it's like 3 or 4 times. That's incredible work for them. So something to be feared moving forward in these drafts. I mean, maybe you take the Calico off the board if you're going up against University of Toronto. I don't know. But 0K, great team. I think some of the things in their draft they needed to adjust. The Sinclair just for me felt a little bit flat, especially with how highly they prioritized it. Maybe change that with a Holiday or a Paradox or something. Could have had some potential in that fight, but we'll see 0K again, I'm sure. Toronto, most definitely.
Yeah, I do think we come back. We talked about it in the draft when we saw the Sinclair at number 2. We were just like, all right, man, this is a little bit on the awkward side. It just didn't fully perform in the way we wanted to. But this is a current update on the bracket for us. We have University of Toronto taking on Berserkers. Berserkers, we saw them doing very well in the tournament yesterday, so excited to see how that match will unfold. And then Patron Pulverizers versus the Cheesy Breads, who I hate as a name because it makes me incredibly hungry, and I love bread a lot. But I love them as a team, so can't wait to watch that. Now, the crazy part that we have to talk about is that lower bracket Philly, 0K and Plot Armor, Space Created, and Divinity. 2 of those teams are going home. It's going to happen in the next round. We only have room for 6 teams. 2 of them have been invited. 8 teams total at the August LAN. So this is probably the most important game of those 4 teams' lives right now.
For sure, and we'll be showing those on broadcast. You and I will be covering those elimination matches because we want to, once again, this is for the community, this is for everybody, so we want to try to get as many folks on the screen as possible, and especially if it could be your final dance in the tournament, we want to make sure you go out on a high note if possible. But, Trick, to get that set up, my friend, we've got to head to a short break, my folks. We will see you on the other side.
you're dead, just like that. You've built yourself a great story. Spread your aura in my face. You can touch my soul. Come and crush my hydra head. Oh, how low can you go? I'm an easy touch and you're way too persistent. It's so pathetic. You're a headache. Let me set this bridge and let me. 'Cause you're dead, just like that. You've built yourself a grave inside my head. 'Cause you're dead, just like that. You've built yourself a grave inside my head. Not a single piece of blood on my church's floor, but in my quiet garden, all is rotten to the core. I'm feeding off my own lies, place been lacking, tears that I could have, telling those around one head. 'Cause you're dead, just like that. You've built yourself a grave inside my head. 'Cause you're dead, just like that. You've built yourself a grave inside my head.
Welcome back, Ritualists. It is Philly, it's Trick, and you are tuning into the Guildlock Lan Qualifiers Day 2. And so we've got another best of one. This time, Trick, it's in the lower bracket, so this is elimination game.
Yeah, this is probably the most important game of the entire weekend for these players. Obviously, you know, earlier games are important, but this is the one where it's like you go home or you get to go to the tournament. Like, it's that simple. Like, it's a 50-50, and you better bring your best A game or, you know, bye-bye. You know, I don't want to say it in a nice way, man. Like, we are here to see who is the best out of all these qualifying teams, and we finally are going to be having our answer after these two matches, 0K and Plot Armor and Space Created Divinity. We will know our 6 teams that will be joining the other 2 invited teams to Guildlock, which is incredibly exciting.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of stuff at the Guild House in San Jose, California. We're going to have a scavenger hunt. We're going to have booths set up. Melee Creeps will be there selling merch. We're going to have a cosplay competitions. Artists have been acquired to come to selling keychains and all other sorts of
We're going to have a Philly there?
Philly is going to be there. Philly is going to make the trip out. I live in Philly, and I'm coming out to California because it is that reunion. I get to give you a hug. I get to see Sword. I get to see so many other of our wonderful Deadlock fans and friends. So I can't wait to see you all there, and can't wait to see it in the chat as well. But Trick, right now, we've got to be in the present. We got to figure out what these 2 teams are doing. I feel like as we head into the draft, it's going to be the Infernus and the Shiv hotly contested, because as we were doing our research on these teams, that's the 2 characters they've been playing a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, Shiv is one of these characters, man, that, like, I don't know if you know Apocalypse from X-Men, but, like, his whole thing is that he's always relevant, right? Like, he just never dies. And that's kind of the case with Shiv. Like, he's the Apocalypse of Deadlock. This dude will always be useful in some way or some form. And as someone that's trying to learn Shiv right now, it totally makes sense. He's got a very, very fun kit. He's also just one of these characters that, like, you need to understand what you are doing, and when you understand him, he can feel really overpowered. So it makes sense why people are constantly playing around him. So we'll see how that goes. But there is something of note to look at here. In terms of our bans, Holiday has been banned, as well as Doorman. Typically, that Holiday slot has been a Pocket ban, so Pocket is available for this match.
They do have a couple of Pocket players throughout this. I'm seeing Cheesy Blood. They play that one pretty proficiently. A couple other players, Liam plays the Pocket, so we'll see that. But as predicted, it will be the Shiv, and maybe being partnered with the Rem. That could be a pretty impressive lane.
Yeah, good old Rim, man. Rim's been slightly nerfed from the last patch in terms of the healing it being available for him on his tag-along, but still a great tool to have. You know, healing is actually kind of a rarity in Deadlock, if you will. So if you can get a couple of good frontliners, in this case, like Silver, maybe add an Abrams on this next pickup and whatnot, and you have a great, robust front line, Rim gets double the value, right? Starts to become really effective. You can move into a Neckar Shard if you would like, pop those around. But one person that's really, really darn good at shutting down any healing attempts is Pocket, and Pocket has now been grabbed by Divinity and moved into Mirage. So we now have our main first picks that are usually picked up in a lot of our matches between Mirage, Pocket, and Billy, all on Divinity.
I mean, if my eyes could like cartoon in just like 777, you know, like that's a jackpot here for Divinity, right? Like these are all the characters that you want. You have incredible team fight ability, you have great rotations across the map, you can run the like there's so many different things that you can do with these front 3, where Space Created, maybe they put too much eggs in their first 2-pick basket. I mean, we'll see how they round out. Obviously, there's many more characters to go, but as you mentioned, is this a Abrams look? No, it will be the Warden instead. So that's their M1 locked in.
Yeah, so Warden is a really interesting discussion point. You know, he's been nerfed, changed around here and there, but Warden, in the last patch a month ago, was a very important late-game characteristic. He has a late-game character ability to do a ton of damage, but he also gets really, really tanky. He's like top 10 and when you get enough boons going your way in terms of HP being available, which Rim likes for that healing that I was talking about earlier. But from what I have seen, Warden's been suffering lately for a lot of our picks. I know that could be team disparity and whatnot. We have a small sample size. So I am quite curious where we're going down in this route for Warden. We'll be doing the Cage build, which hasn't been a focus for a lot of our teams, and then transition to late game well for carrying, because I think that is a potential setup here for Space Created. Now, with that being said, I'm hoping their team name is accurate, because I am looking for more roamers. Teams that have really aggressive roaming have been doing very well in these qualifiers so far, and we're kind of missing that right now in our current picks.
I do like the Warden. It is Chua, who is the captain of Space Created. That's their top hero, so maybe some comfortability, especially in an elimination map. It's like, let's just pick what we're best on and see if we can make it work. But as we head into the next round of bans, we've got the Viscous by Space Created. I mean, that's a great character for the extra healing and saves, and that means it has to set up for something, and they're setting it up for the Bebop.
Bebop coming in. Okay, so now we get a little bit of pick potential available to us. We saw what Bebop could do last game. It can be just one of these moments where it's like, hey, after 25 minutes, we got a hook. We literally dictate the entire map now for the rest of the match going forward. And right now, the current targets that are on the opposing side are all pretty pickable, except for Billy. Billy, you don't really want to pull into your team, but if you do, good luck. But if you pull a Pocket in, hit him with a slowing hex, suddenly Pocket is just, you can kind of pop him, which is always what you're trying to do. You don't want to give him the time to be able to dash around with his trench coat, use that briefcase and whatnot. You want to try and end all plans quickly. Now, Inverse comes out, which does give a little bit more scalability here for Divinity, but I am kind of missing that roamer role so far for Divinity. Sure, they have great S-tier picks, but how are you going to get around the map, and how are you going to dictate the pace? Because pacing has been everything so far.
Well, I'm looking at the characters for Zarlorn and the final boss for Divinity,
sure.
And they're roamers, right? They played the Paradox, the Shiv, the Lash, the Holiday, the Abrams, right? Those kind of characters that want to go around the map, and some of them are still open, right? Lash is still available, and that would kind of fit into this big team fight wombo combo that they have right now, but they will take for some extra mobility, and that will be the Ivy. I do like that, right? Helps with their lane, helps with that map pressure. If they just spread out, then Space Created might have some trouble with their macro decision making about what they want to prioritize next. So we'll see how they round that out. I would love to see an Abrams here, or maybe a Lash at the end, but for Space Created, Trick, I mean, what do you think they go for next?
I was hoping for a Lady Geist, but sadly, Divinity was ahead of me and already banned it out. I think a Lady Geist would be very impactful here. Yeah, the X Factor, right? I feel like Lady Geist would have been so impressive here against the current composition of Divinity. You have a bunch of one-on-ones that you would do well into Pocket, into Mirage, into Ivy, who are going to try and be a little bit late in their lanes into rotating over to team fights, and Geist excels in that scenario, right? She can kind of dictate the pace. We get a Wraith instead, which Wraith can kind of fill that role, a little more squishy, but good in the 1v1s, and honestly, Wraith is one of those characters, man, when she gets on a walker, and if you're a second late, it's dead, right? So I do like the Wraith pickup here. I just keep going back to my original point here, is like, who is going to be the ones rotating and finding picks? Sure, Bebop can go in and get a hook and disrupt something, and if you have your teammates here, you can kill it. Shiv can kind of roam a little bit, but he still needs a farm for a bit to get in there. And we're not quite getting that from Space and Credit. Instead, we find a Vindicta, which is interesting. I don't know if you saw the game, but there was a player that rushed into a trophy collector for one of our matches and made it work. But I'm kind of curious how Space Created is going to be able to create said space. I guess just through kills.
That's why I would have liked an Abrams here, just a touch more of the front line, right? Because do you want to build Tank Bop? Do you want your Shiv to really be the one that's being the tank? Because if you focus him, you could die pretty easily, especially if you slowing hex, whatever. But Vindicta is the main character for Cheesy Blood. So it makes sense to give them a comfort pick. Neiman loves the Wraith. They're kind of the carry player for this team. So you want to give those comfortabilities, but are they going to work cohesively as a unit? And as you mentioned, there is the Lash, most likely going onto Zarlorn. And I love how this rounds out the composition. There's the roamer you're looking for, extra team fight ability. I mean, if I had to throw my hat in the ring, Divinity's looking pretty good in terms of team comp.
Yeah, they just have like a natural team fight. It's not very hard to execute, right? And that's not like a knock on them or whatever. They just pick teammates that are like, these characters are good. They're going to disrupt you. They're going to be able to get things going their way. You get a good Billy Tug, suddenly you have two characters that can follow it up. You have Inference, you have Pocket combo with the cold front into a briefcase. Just very, very strong pickups here for Divinity. And I think I would agree with you, man. If I had to put money on this game, I would be going that route. Now, with that being said, here we had Divinity picking up their characters. On Space Created on the other side, they do have a lot of individualism that allows them to make micro decisions that can be impactful on the map, right? You have Vindicta who can start cleaning up things like crazy. You have Shiv who can stay alive forever. You have Rim who can show up to a fight and drop down the tag along with a good sleep. You have Wraith who can just eat objectives like crazy. So there is definitely potential here, but it comes down to execution.
Trick, I know you're a betting man, because I always see you in the Twitch chat betting
Blackjack,
all your
baby.
points on the predictions and stuff. So maybe we need to get the predictions here for the Guildlock qualifiers as we deadlock and pop into our next best of one elimination match. We're taking a look at the mid lane, where we might have some they-them mayhem with the Pocket and the Mirage. That could be a lot of spirit damage. And that is a Vindicta and a Bebop I think I'm spying in that lane as well.
Yeah, if Pocket can stay away from the B-Ball hook, they should be able to get out of this lane pretty easily, and then Mirage can kind of take it over, and Pocket can start to kind of roam and be all over the place. I don't know if we'll see a Majestic leap on Pocket. I feel like we don't see as much in the high-level play as I would love to see. But, you know, if Pocket does go that route, they can really start to take over the entire map. So that'll be interesting to see. On the other side, we do have Shiv and Rim, which is together, which makes sense, right? With Shiv, you just want to be able to poke out your opponent. If you do overcommit, you want to have a healer available to you, or at least control of the trooper wave so you can get that region available to you, and Rim will do just that. So that's a pretty solid lane. Also, Rim can leave and start to become a center chaser, disrupt the opposing team by taking all those, which is probably my favorite element of a Rim.
Trick. But I'm all worried about their counterparts on the other side. This is an Ivy and a Lash. I mean,
sure.
How much are they going to do? Or if you want the Lash to roam by themselves, then Ivy, well, they have to scale into the Entangling Thorns, make sure just there's clear Trooper Wave after Trooper Wave, but be under their Guardian for majority of this early game. But then do you want your Ivy to really stack the souls? So that would be interesting. And what's more interesting is that the Billy will be sliced up in lane number 3. That's the double carry lane of the Warden and the Wraith working together for that one.
Yeah, we also see a B-Ball hook on Pocket over here on the side. Typically with a Billy, man, I have this rule where I'm like, you get 2, bro. Like, Billy's one of these characters that, like, you kind of have to commit. You're trying to bait out parries and whatnot. Sometimes you show up and you get into a fight, and sometimes it just doesn't go your way, like this. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's your 2. There's your 2, okay? Let's relax a little bit, Gerby. Gerby tried to go in, though. A light melee comes out, another parry connecting, and Furnace tries to follow it up, but he goes for a light melee, and that is just disaster here, as Space Created has gotten 2 takedowns on Gerby, who is playing Billy.
And that's a burger box if I've ever seen one, man. Great reads from Space Created, just like a true, like, I'm from Philly, you know, Rocky, he doesn't always read punches, he takes them a lot. Space Created, they were taking and blocking at the same time. So we'll see how the double carry lane and accelerating and farm, right? They're both at 2.4k souls. That is huge in this early game. If those two get rolling, they could just shred through anything on the other side. But Divinity, like we mentioned, playing more for this kind of ult-wombo combo when these objectives come forward. So we'll see what happens there. And as predicted, Lash is making the box runs and leaving Ivy in the lane.
Yeah, that's kind of the issue with giving these kills over to both Wraith and Warden. You know, these are characters that want to get to your mid to late game. They want to be able to stack up, have their cards available for Wraith in particular. You know, Warden wants all of his boons being available so he can get to late game, and you getting picked off really gets that to be an easier solution for them. Billy does walk over and tries to steal with his camp here, still trying to be a nuisance. I do like that he's keeping his composure and trying to be in the face of the opponent, but let's be a little bit careful on that. Gets out just in time. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Vindicta trying to find a pick or 2 on her own. Mirage poking from the Veil. Pocket going forward here, trying to get the damage out. And one cool thing about Pocket is his gun damage is pretty darn nice. Mirage trying to follow up as well, but with a Bebop coming over, they're going to have to be careful here as they have to hold out for that tornado.
And Trick, you and I have both seen our fair share of Glockets from time to time.
Oh, sure.
So
yeah,
definitely got to be wary of that shotgun from the mystery person. But for now, some good poke coming in this mid lane. And there is Gerpy, put 3 on the board for him in terms of the death column. The Billy, not necessarily inting, but hard for him to get anything done.
Yeah, this is just kind of the Billy story sometimes. And from here, it's just really being in a spot where you trust your teammates, right? Like, all right, guys, I'm not going to fight anymore. And Furnace, you're looking pretty farmed up. You've already got a couple of items going your way. I'm going to play a little bit more defensive and try to hold back and try to get back in the game here so I can be useful around those rifts. It's something that a Billy player has to really lock in and be ready for. Speaking of being ready for, geez, Bebop and crew getting some damage here on Mirage, but the final boss being very final boss-like, finding a shot there at the last second and getting a pick.
And we've been seeing this throughout this first 5 minutes of the game, Trick, is that they have just been fighting consistently in this mid lane. So a lot of folks were getting low, and eventually somebody overstayed their welcome. So that was Franklin going down there on the Bebop. But I think the Vindicta will be okay with that, get some extra souls going their way, and potentially move this wave forward for some trooper damage. But there is Liam, has to jump out of that engagement, but that's a great hook to start things off.
Yeah, that's something that Pocket can definitely struggle with if they're out of position, not able to set up all of their teleports and whatnot. Now, Wraith comes in for another pickoff, and look at this, dude. It's starting to begin. The Wraith Guardian burn, getting it down very, very low. There's going to be some early souls here at the 5-minute and 40-second mark. Going to be feeling really good about that lane. And now Wraith could stay here in this lane. Ward can rotate to another lane if they would like. Another hook landing on Pocket. And Divinity having a hard time here in that lane in particular, as space created is, you know, creating space.
All right, Franklin, if you're truly a DMB student, we'll need to see something from you. There it is. This lane is continuing to secure kills. They are bleeding out the death. The binding word locking the Anarchist in chains. He doesn't want to do that. Gerpy, no! He goes down again. And I want to highlight here that the Wraith and the Ward used their ultimates in the prior engagement to get the kills and then get the Guardian. Now they're just too far ahead. They're on fire.
That's why you only get 2, man. Just look at the souls. 2.2k souls to 5.7. At that point, you should not be in position to get picked off like that. You know, I don't mean to be too critical, but this is your tournament life currently on the hand, and it's only at best of 1. Gerpy needs to relax right now and get to the point where at least he has his ultimate here. So just kind of farm up, chill. I think we're already seeing that on the minimap right now. He's starting to rotate around, grabbing boxes. Just, you get scraps right now. You only get scraps. You don't get the main turkey dinner anymore. We give that to Infernus, we let him farm up, and we'll find you later on in the fight.
But there's a bigger problem than that, and that comes from these larger engagements where he's supposed to be the front line. But he's not frontline in anything anymore, doesn't even have chain gang available for any fights that may ensue in the future. So this is really disastrous. And as you mentioned, Trick, you got to go in with tempered aggression at times. Yeah, you get 2, but then you have to say, okay, I know I'm behind. I've lost my power spike here in the early game. Let me back off and just farm, play safe, not give anything else. So you have to recognize that as you go forward. Now a hyper beam, unleash the Kamehameha just to make sure nobody can touch this Guardian as the troopers will do the work on it. Mirage deathly low, taking the brunt of the bullets. Will he take the last hit? No, it's a massive death slam from the backside that will put him right under the Guardian. It's a 2k off the back of Zarloin.
Great rotation here by Zarlorn, and why I've been talking about roaming and how important it is right now. A slight overpush coming in from space created, and Zarlorn is able to punish it dramatically. Gerpy also able to get some souls there too, starting to build up towards their ultimates. That was the win in the sales that was needed here for Divinity. Great rotations available, and we are past 8-minute mark. Centers are starting to pop up, and the main focus should probably be these mid Guardians. We should try to get them opened up so Silence can become a main focus. The thing I'm looking for Divinity right now is how do we make sure both Chua MC, who's on Warden, and Neyman, who's on Wraith, are going to get shut down. Because right now they are on a kill streak, they're farming like crazy, and this will become an issue. We see Mirage right now trying to chase down Neyman on Wraith on the far left lane. And I'm actually quite curious if he's going to win that team fight. But at the same time, we have Sinners being contested over here on the side, Billy.
They sure are, and I'm looking at the health bars for those two carries who are locked in a duel of epic proportion. This Rev, though, tries to get hooked out of dodge, but the Bebop not able to save this little cute sleepwalker, and that'll be another 2 here for the Divinity squad. They're still down a good number of souls as Jeezy Blood will pick up one on the back end.
Whew, almost getting picked up by Wraith. Wraith going for the chase here on Mirage. I think Tornado's going to get him out of there just in time, actually. It looks like he will travel it over to the walker on the back left. But Neyman, this is where when a Wraith is ahead, this makes the difference between a good and a bad Wraith, right? When you're able to move forward and be aggressive with your telekinesis, try to find those picks and get those takedowns. Like, the confidence is certainly way in favor of Neyman. Look at him, already on these double centers, trying to chase down the opponents, going straight for this lash here, getting low on HP. Ivy doing some decent damage, down to 190, trying to kite, and that is a huge kill for Divinity.
Young Tizzy going for the gun build on this Ivy. The Tesla bullet zapping everybody to death, and they're looking for more. The stone form will squish down Sylvision into the dirt. Nothing the Shiv could do. And Divinity, they are finding the kills, but Trick, are they winning the macro?
Right now they're doing okay. I wouldn't put them in the winning the macro right now, because you are correct. If you look at the map right now, there are 3 Guardians up on the far right side. But typically, when you are even in souls, and I would consider 41 to 45k souls being pretty even, when you grab those Guardians later on, you're going to be able to go ahead or at least equalize with your opponent. So in terms of macro, they are definitely stabilizing is a word that I would use. And I would question Space Created just a little bit there on those really aggressive plays around the double centers. I think they're trying to make sure that they can allow their rim to get in there and be really effective. But you got to be careful. Don't allow for Wraith to get picked off. Everything should be going into keeping her alive, her and Warden right now, just as they want to scale in that late game and always be alive. The more uptime they have, the more farming they're doing, which is more effective for your team.
I mean, I don't hate it from Space Created because they're like, all right, we've had this early game tempo. Our carries are on fire. We have an item advantage. Like, let's go for something maybe a touch aggressive in the double Sinner's Take. And they brought the Shiv, who needs to play bodyguard for those 2 carries, as we mentioned, playing majority of this front line for the team. But just wasn't successful there. The Ivy, just so much stun. Which then brings me to the other side here. I mean, what's the catch for Space Creative? They have the hook, they have the telekinesis, but without that, I mean, if a binding word doesn't connect, then how are they getting these shifty heroes in place?
What a heads-up play here from Ivy. Last stand comes out from Chua. They were looking to go for a full fight, especially around this urn turning, because they know that somebody on the opposing side does have it and available, so they pop the last stand early. And young Tizzy, just getting an eye for it, comes in and saves Lash's life so they can fight for another day. If you can get through the last stand, you're going to be feeling very confident. Now, Pocket is moving forward. The urn is ticking down, as you can see here on the screen. Bebop in position here, trying to land a hook. Will they be able to get it? Wait, what?
Yes, Tricks! They got it! Oh, no!
Oh, that was so fascinating. So Pocket put down the teleport Trenko afterwards, tried to drop it off and get the soul, was going to fire afterwards, just missed it by a hair. A huge melee coming in from Chua, and Space Created are able to grab those souls. Great turn in from Space Created, and great defense in general.
And they get a walker too on the other side of this map. This Vindicta has been doing a ton of work. Yes, she'll die, but I mean, okay, you get a walker here at the 12-minute mark. That's huge amount of flex options now for your Warden, who's still on fire, still at 12k. This Mirage has been doing everything they can to be around the map, Trick, but has been losing these duels, these 1v1s from the carries on their side. The gauntlet definitely has been dropped between these 2 teams.
Yeah, there is the element that we talked about in the draft of having these big AoE moments that can really turn around these fights for Divinity. That is definitely there, but I agree with you. The Space Created is really opening up this map quite dramatically. An early walker is going to always be feeling nice. Now, Bebop in a fight here with Divinity. There is going to be a Pocket getting picked off, but here comes a snipe from Cheesy Blood. And something to know is Cheesy Blood does have a trophy collector. Oh, tries to go for the snipe, but Billy's able to get out, tries to turn around and get a fight in, goes for the battering ram. I don't know if he can turn this around. He certainly cannot, despite trying his best. And Cheesy Blood finds a couple of stacks for those trophy collectors.
Uh-oh, and now the soul lead has started to balloon. 11,000 for Space Created. They're the ones getting the kills, getting the items, and getting some of the macro on their side. And the Rem is really just here to keep the lanes in check, be a janitor, if all things, right? Just move the lanes forward so that our team can work. And they're playing aggressively right now in an unconventional composition is Space Created. The Rift now has descended upon the Cursed Apple, but not many ultimates for Divinity. This was supposed to be their moment.
Yeah, these are the moments where you want to have that lash ult, right? Last Stand comes in. Looks like Warden is holding for now, trying to turn around with this lifesteal. 4 targets are on him. Finally does get picked off. So Divinity actually making a massive play with that Wool Traveler coming in from the Mirage. Excuse me, he actually has it to leave soon, but him showing up to that fight as well. They got a quick 4-on-1, and now they do grab the Guardian. And we see Ivy and Lash already rotating over to this middle lane, and they are about to have those ultimates you were talking about, Philly. Maybe they can turn a fight around here.
And then they'll be here in time to defend this Walker. Will Space Created kind of overplay their hand, or will they get out? It looks like, yeah, they've gotten the trade they're looking for, which is about half damage on this Walker, and then they'll get out of dodge from here. That's fine. I mean, if a Guardian goes down on your side at 13 minutes, you take that. Those things should be down by like the 9 or 10 minute mark. And speaking of that, the mid lane Guardian's still available if they need to retreat. The Mirage, though, under a lot of pressure, has to Dust Devil away. But I'm hearing the euphoric sounds of the ding, ding, ding. The Death Slam drives the Shiv back into what? A turnaround, actually, as the Shiv will be eliminated.
Yeah, Franklin25 was actually able to hit a hook there, which made it harder for Lash to get this point he wanted. He was actually taking damage as well on that Guardian, so they were able to turn the kill around. And here's Wraith showing up, getting a pill on Pocket, getting up to that 18k souls, having the most in the lobby at the moment, Philly. And we just see a lot of aggression coming in from Space Created. If you look at the minimap right now, they are spread out on Pockets, trying to steal farm from their opponents, just really trying to extend this lead. And sometimes it hasn't worked out for them for the best, but I do like that they're willing to take their foot and put it on the throats of Divinity, right? They are willing to get their hands dirty here to win this match. They want to go to Guild House in August.
This surge of power on the Wraith at this point in the game is so scary. And they get the urn picked up here too. The chain gangs will rattle across the cursed apple once more, but it's Billy and a dream. He will go down. No death slam here for the a-hole. He has to grapple away from this fight. He does not want any part of this without his ultimate online.
You know, I'm worried about Gerpy, but at the same time, I kind of respect Gerpy. You know what I'm saying? Like, Gerpy's like, I don't care if I die a million times. I will end to win for my teammates, trying to force engagements and whatnot right now. He is very behind in those souls, but I like that he's constantly been there and tries to put out a decent fight. Now, Mirage, speaking about in the fight, is currently trying to get some damage on this walker on the far left, and Bebop is going to shut that down quickly.
That was a 2v1, and once again, we said the final boss is trying to create this map pressure, but their macro is just so far behind because they're bleeding kills. They don't have the numbers to bring people across the map and defend their structures. So he tries to go for something, go for the trade, doesn't get it, now gives it up. Fortunately, there's no walker on this left-hand side to take, but this mid walker might be the next one up as we're looking at the timers here. There's a long way before any objectives come online, so I expect Space Created to be looking for kills.
Yeah, this is the time where you try to grab the off cams, you take any can you can from away from your opponents, get an idea of where they currently are at, and you try to get a big power spike and buying before the next major objective, which is probably going to be that rift, or of course the urn, which will be spawning relatively soon as well. So should be a moment of relaxation for our teams. We see them already moving into centers and whatnot. You see everyone kind of pulling back and heading and grabbing whatever they can, grabbing some boxes and whatnot. This is the time to deplete the entire map. So loving that I'm seeing that from our teammates. Now, I look over at Shiv, actually, and he's playing very aggressive on the opposing side. There's a Billy nearby, and alas, Shiv might be in trouble. He is quite tanky with all these green items, but I wonder if he may have gone too far. Bebop comes in and gives him a hand, knocks him away as well. Nicely done by Franklin.
No way. It is a death slam onto one. It's the Vindicta, though. That's a big catch. The Witch must slide into the subway to get out of this fight, and somehow Space Created, they survive the onslaught, and they get one for themselves. That's crazy work.
Yeah, I gotta shout out Franklin, man. Franklin has made 3 plays in the last 5 minutes that have just been really impactful for Space Created. You know, he had the hook on Lash when there was a big ultimate coming out. He just saved Shiv. He defended the Walker on the back right with the help of Rem. Franklin is playing out of his mind, and I know we look at the units and we're like, Wraith is carrying. Dude, Franklin is popping off right now on Bebop, and it's one of the main reasons why this team is doing so well. If he can keep playing at this level, I could see them definitely going towards Guildhouse. Now, with that being said, Divinity has not been shooketh. We see them constantly still moving forward, grabbing wherever they can on the camp. They're only about, what, 15, 20k down at the moment, so definitely playable, but they're at a point now where they can't make any more mistakes, in my opinion, or they're going to be falling off hard going into the mid-game.
Yeah, they're letting this game slip away from right now, Divinity. So how do they get back into this? And it's about layering their ultimates correctly. Can they win this next team fight? Because I feel like if they lose this next one, the soul lead will then go to maybe 20,000 at that point. You might be too far behind to really get anything. But Space Created, they could make a mistake. Their team comp is inherently squishy by nature. They're just relying on that we will out-damage and kill you before you kill us in a lot of these fights. We'll see what happens now as the Rift decides to open.
Rift open, Bebop is already there. Franklin leading the charge for his team. Taking some damage already, though, as there were a few members of Divinity who have showed up, and you see Infernus already taking him down. This is where Infernus is really annoying. He has toxic bullets already, and he's burned them quickly, but Space Created did that on purpose. They sacrificed the great Franklin so they could move over to the mid-boss and get 3 rejuvenators. Holy moly, they are living up to their name.
We talked about their macro was that going to be the detrimental part of their game? Will they be able to keep up with the Traveler, with the airdrop, whatever? But they're playing well. They're making great decisions throughout the map here, Trick, and I love it. Now I want to see what they do with this. Is it going to be this walker on the right-hand side? I feel like that's the most vulnerable structure for them, the next objective for them to take. And just look how these Rift Troopers just burnt to a crisp, man. They can't stand under the might of this raid.
Yeah, they're certainly getting melted. These Super Troopers definitely need to be guided towards the walkers. You know, if you leave them uncontested, they're going to get deleted pretty quickly. But Space Created, we're just doing janitor duties right now, right? Cleaning up everything on the map, because they do have that 3 minutes they can set up here to move in for the Rejuvenator. We did check. It looks like our UI mod has not been updated. That's why it says 4 minutes every time that we go into the Rejuvenators. Just be aware, guys, it is 3 minutes. You can keep an eye on that circle at the top and see it disappear over time. But with that, they're going to be able to grab whatever they want on the map. There is a comeback urn available as well, and some centers and some farm. And then at the last minute, they're probably going to push in. Ideally, I would love to have that middle walker taken down for them, and they're thinking that too. Franklin's already here with a hook. He doesn't quite connect it here. Lash comes out with an ultimate, doesn't find anybody, and jumps on the Vindicta.
Okay, and that's a great person to get after, but they leave the Walker defenseless, and Neiman will say thank you very much, but might have to go down for it. But it's Slill Vision who's taking the front line here. They need the Shiv to be the tank, absorb the damage, but somehow he picked up the urn, which means he can't really fight back. He's got to run away, or maybe get the urn dislodged from, which he did, and dislodges Gerpy from this mortal coil. Will go down and expend one of those rejuves, but he's really focused on the urn here, the Shiv. He gets it, and he's running for his life.
Behind all this, Mirage is pushing in the final boss for Divinity and working on a walker on the far left, so at least they're getting something out of it. But that was a pretty devastating play for Divinity in general. Space Created able to find a couple of takedowns at the cost of a couple of Rejuvenators, even grabbing that walker in the middle, which unlocks an item slot and extra cash, and they're looking to get more. Already opened the base Guardians here, which is going to make it to where the Shrines are attackable later on. Space Created, I'm not gonna lie, dude, I was looking at the draft and I was like, kind of selfish picks, but man, they are making these characters that do well by themselves work in a very cohesive, gelled unit. It's very impressive to watch.
Comfort sometimes is key, Trick, right?
True.
If you have thousands of hours on this hero, you know exactly how they're gonna work, and a hook from ranged will drag the Ivy into an awkward spot, will fortunately fly away, but not fortunate enough to live. That's young Tizzy down. Now the last stand here is all the team will see for the Hidden King as they retreat back to their fountain. They cannot defeat the raid boss known as the Warden, and that will create enough space for these shrines to be destroyed. There's one down already.
What a great pull here for Space Created. Lash is trying to set up here to try and find anything in him here. He's getting hit with a decay here, which is going to slow him down and, of course, take some damage overall. And that buys time for Space Created to walk away. And they will do just that to rebuy and grab more of the jungle. And I got to say, man, I have such a soft spot for good tank gameplay, and today we have been blessed by the tank gods as Franklin is popping off right now. When that Ivy flew in to set up a silence on her ultimate, he stared down the barrel of the gun and nailed a perfect bullseye hook, which forced that fight and allowed for Chu to pop his last stand, and they pushed forward and got the shrine because of it. Franklin is playing out of his mind.
I don't think he'll be the MVP because who knows how the game actually determines that or whatever. It'll probably be Demon or Cheesy Blood or something. But in our hearts, Trick, they will be the MVP. And that's why I'm so glad that we can highlight a lot of these players doing some fantastic things on these heroes. So we'll see if Franklin can miraculously pull off another hook to clean this match out. You feel like it's going all the way of Space Creative, but they still have some work to do to take down the Hidden King.
They certainly do, and they're building towards that pretty well. Vindicta's getting nice and stacked up. You have Wraith and Warden here for the damage. We have Shiv building straight into pure green with Decay and a couple of purples added as well, so he's more of a poke-heavy / like tank to try and offset his teammates. In fact, I've been watching Shiv in particular. Whenever Neiman goes in, Neiman's able to have a afforded allotment of being aggressive and try to get damage on people, because Shiv is there to back him up and creates a lot of disruption while building up that rage. He already has Decay available, which helps build into that rage, which makes him a nice little raid boss for later on. Just a lot of great layers are going on for Space Created, and they understand how to make their composition impactful. Now, with that being said, we're looking over Divinity, Philly, and what are you expecting for Divinity? How do they turn this around and get it to be in their favor?
It has to be up the back of this Death Slam, because multiple times it's Zarlorn who's got one person locked up. At one time, they got two early on in this game. They won the fight. They got a structure off of it. They got some extra jungle camps and then moved on from there. They need their Lash player to be impactful. Gerpy, we haven't seen much from them throughout this entire match. So it's like their chain gang, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm not even thinking about that in these fights. I need the Death Slam first, maybe a Massive Affliction to follow up, or Concussion Combustion to lock folks down, and then put your damage in. I mean, this Mirage is at 26. It's still pretty good, all things considered. I know they can do the work. It's just how they layer their ultimates. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, oh, here we go. Nice little slam coming down on top of Rim, trying to maybe get some damage on him and see if a fight could unfold. That does not really occur. Now, my only worry right now is that Space Created has put so much pressure on Divinity that a lot of their roamers between Ivy, you know, we're looking at Lash right now, Billy, they've had to start building incredibly defensive just to even have a chance to get out of a team fight because of the damage coming out from Space Created. So I am worried about whether or not they're going to have enough firepower to win this next team fight. I feel like they need another 10 minutes here before they can even scale up. I'm looking over to Infernus right now. He just have his enduring speed, he's able to rotate around, has counterspell, and has finally gotten a little bit more damage spiked in there, but he needs time for that to develop, and I'm worried they're not going to get that. So we'll see if they're going to try. The next major focus could be around this next rift, and we see everyone trying to position around it right now.
The ultimates are available, but most crucially, the nap time is not. That's a great defensive tool, all things considered. It will be started off with an airdrop, and now this could be a great angle for a death slam. He locks onto 3 and slams him down. There's the ground strike to put him 6 feet under. They will find Franklin, the hero of this story, and there is the Wraith who will no longer survive. We were asking for it from the Lash, and he certainly delivered. However, the final stand has been unleashed, and the Warden will not be taken down lightly. The rest of his team falls around him. It's only the Shiv and the Warden who remains. The rift has opened up across the cursed apple with the urn in hand. The Warden trying to do everything for their team. The rift now is secured for the side of the Hidden King, so a number of troopers will stampede towards that walk of the fight. Decides to rage on forward. The Lash is still hanging around here, being a nuisance. A blast to the face. The Binding Word will only hold him up for just a moment, but it's a trade on the other side. Now Warden is truly alone here, tricking his face in the whole entire world.
Oh my gosh, lore appropriate Warden right here, taking on the entire world in the name of the patrons. Eventually he does get picked off, but that goes back to what we were talking about in the draft. Divinity has a composition that is tried and true. You get a death slam into a combustion and you can delete the opposing team. And here's the crazy part, Philly. That wasn't even executed that well. The combustion was a bit too early, the death slam wasn't quite there, but it is enough to win the team fight, and Divinity was able to do so. They did get the push going on the far right, so they open up that walker, and the major story of that entire team fight going well for Divinity is at the very top of the screen. The souls are very close, 166 to 172, and they're turning around to get this mid boss. Now, will they fumble the bag? That is the question, because Space Created is spawning and they're on the way.
And they have the zipline available, so now a couple of members have entered the fray, but the Dust Devil's the first to shoo them away, but it is Franklin back with a vengeance. He is laser peopling down here, but it's Liam who will succumb to the pressure of the Bebop, but it's this gun kind of Ivy, right, the Tesla bullets, who would put in the work, zapping the Scrap Golem into little bitty pieces, but there is the counterplay of the nap time to push people back into the pit. Vindicta, this is not where you want to be. Where can you fly? I'm hearing the ding, ding, ding on the death slam, and it connects onto 2 and slams him down. The Vindicta will fall in the midst of a scuffle as they contest for the mid-boss, who has not gone down but is hanging on by knife's edge.
Divinity is showing their scrappiness here right now. A counterspell does come out from Shiv. He's trying to sustain. This is a great spot for Shiv to be in, but he is at a number disadvantage. There goes the hooks coming in from Billy with those chains. Followed up with a nice light attack as well. Shiv is trying to provide a couple of these knives, and the healing is looking pretty good. They do find a pick on Gerpy, which is something I feel like I've said a lot so far in this matchup. Another 2 comes out as he's slicing and dicing. Mirage trying to kite, and Shiv has become the raid boss. Ladies and gentlemen, with all the healing, the greens and such, they're able to win that team fight. For a second there, it was looking very, very good for Divinity, but with the help of Shiv and Rim working together, they're able to turn around, and now Space Created turns their attention over to the mid-boss. There is a Lash hovering and an Ivy and a Furnace on the way, but I don't know if they're going to be here in time to actually contest this entire thing. It's kind of looking like it. Here we go. The Rejuvenator now descends.
Oh gosh, and we're still in this pit fighting, everybody collapsing onto the rejuves. It goes 2 for Divinity. Yes, they didn't get the Booger Monster, but they got what they really wanted, and that's the treasure underneath. But the Ivy might have to utilize one of those crystals early on. Yes, shot through the heart, and Vindicta is certainly to blame. Back into the fray is the Ivy, but only to try to escape. The Binding Word to lock the gargoyle down. The hero of Harlem has been slain in the fight, and only 1 rejuve apiece for both of these teams, but the Matt Foley in blue, Space Created indeed.
My gosh, that was an intense back and forth. My armpits are sweaty. The thing is, it doesn't stop here. Space Created has one Rejuvenator left, and they can now get aggressive. Currently, 2 members are down for Divinity, and it looks like a third of the Furnace does get picked up. And Space Created, remember, behind all of this, had troopers pushing into the base of Divinity, just slowly seeping in. So now they can turn around and work on these shrines and start looking at the Hidden King, turning it down to the halfway mark. Here's that Majestic Leap. Affliction comes out. It'll be a 5-man Affliction. Gets out of the cage as well. There goes the briefcase. Trenchcoat goes forward as well, trying to dash out of the fight, and he will get away. That may have bought enough time for his team to respawn, hiding in the truck, which is one of my favorite locations to hide. But Warden's here to lock him down. Wait. He's actually going to get out. Warden did turn around the last second and try and chase him, and somehow Pocket is able to survive, and the defense does occur for Space Created as they have to pull away because Divinity is able to hold for now.
Yeah, the base is in shambles, however, and with Rejuve at their back, I don't think Space Created is going to back off from this one. A Chain Gang, though, will connect on the 3, but won't be able to drag him in as Gurpy has been eliminated amidst his ultimate. And this Warden just pumping out the damage. That Witchmail doing so much work inside this fight, but it's really Cheesy Blood in the backline, sniping people down, assassination after assassination. Shiv will be the one to succumb to the damage, but will be revived back in the fight. Cheesy Blood with a triple in this one as we spectate the Warden, who has taken down the last remaining members. It's Zarloin. Do they have the Death Slam available? No, but does he have his life? No. Everything going the way of Space Created. GG's in chat. Divinity, they go home.
Divinity goes home, and Space Created has locked in its lot for the Guildlock Lan in August. Congratulations to them, and I think that was just a major lesson in tempo, right? Being able to set the pace in the early game and be able to extend that to the middle. Like, they were playing, it almost felt like with weights off. They felt their confidence, and they were able to pull it off, and that was really, really fun to watch for Space Created. So congratulations to them, and I'm excited to see how they play the rest of the tournament, because we got to study up on them, because we're going to be seeing them next month in the biggest tournament of the year. I'm pumped.
That's right. Man, if they go up against like a University of Toronto or Cheesy Bread or something like that, would they have really good team coordination and chemistry? Because they were playing off of maybe not spirit resistant vibes, but they were definitely playing off of just vibes and comfort picks.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes up against a true team of good coordination. For now, though, Space Created moves on. As you mentioned, Divinity will go home, but we thank them for participating in the Guildlock Lan. Let's check out the MVP trick and see who it is. Kashi, unlift the curtain and let's see.
It's gotta be Warden, right?
For this, I don't know. Cheesy Blood. Could be. That would be my pick. I mean, the Vindicta was getting a lot of kills in that one.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to see how that goes. I know, personally, Franklin was doing a great job in the early to mid game, but, you know, the stats don't always really apply the full MVP going there, so we'll see when that does get pulled up. Just in general, it felt like Wraith and Warden just had such a good lane, and part of me was wondering if maybe Glurpy was getting a little bit too aggro, but also at the same time, like, not to take away or put the blame on Glurpy. That's something that you have to execute on, right, as a team, and we saw that. Oh my gosh, Naaman actually lands it, and to be fair, he was all over the map. Yeah, I think we just got the lucky point of view being able to see a lot of Warden, but hey, 11 kills, 22k most objective damage, 41,000 souls, and the third most player damage. I'll take it.
I mean, I think it has to start from that ramp of the early game, right? The Wraith secured like 3 or 4 quick kills and then got that surge of power and was almost unstoppable from there. 11 eliminations, 13 assists. That's huge kill participation for the squad, and that objective damage, as you mentioned, is what Wraith is known for. So fantastic work from this team. And the Warden with the most healing, it's Rem. What are you doing, buddy? You're supposed to be the one with the highlight.
Yeah, Warden's stayed pretty darn well, and look what you got at the late game, Witchmail, right? Which is going to allow you to constantly keep rocking your abilities. You know, the extra HP available for Warden as well makes it much easier for them. Even getting an Arcane Surge and a Mystic Slow, he was a nuisance for the opposing team. Just in general, bringing it all together. You can kind of tell by the builds you're looking at it. It's like, hey, just stay alive and let Vindicta and Wraith do their thing. You know, they have their own abilities to get out of fights if they need to. You know, they have their own tethers. They have the sniping potential from across the map. Just really a great execution of understanding what their comp needed to do and building around it.
Fantastic work from both of these teams. And so we hope you've been enjoying some awesome Deadlock here, my wonderful friends. We've got even more action for you, but we'll see you after this break. Welcome back, Deadlock fans. It's HD Philly B, it's Trixler, and we've got one more match for at least us. We've got plenty more matches to show throughout the day, but this is the last one you and I will be doing, and it's the next elimination match. And we have 0K versus Plot Armor. This is a best of one between these two squads.
Yeah, good news for us, Mr. Philly, is we're actually just jumping in to see if they're going to be eliminated or not, and then we actually get one more match after this. So we're going to jump into a replay that's already been happening for 33 minutes so far, and we're going to do a quick analysis of where the game is currently. It looks like Plot Armor is very ahead at the moment with the replay, and then 0K is currently on the defense here. They are fighting for their tournament lives.
Trick, I think both of us need hearing aids. We gotta listen to our producer when he tells us stuff. This is currently live, happening right now. The teams are in the mix of it. And as you mentioned, yes, this is going to be a knockout round, and Soap being knocked out immediately in this fight was a big chain gang from the side of Plot Armor. Billy taking one up with Paige, even though she's not in the server in this moment, and it's CZN who puts a bunch of them 6 feet under. That's the Wraith at 49,000 souls, doing a bulk of the damage, but still we battle onwards now, as it's the Silver who might have to carry the team. They slice and dice their way to death. It's Julian who dies, and it's all the kill feed in blue.
Yeah, Wraith was able to get away with 2 HP, and Plot Armor with all 6 members are up. We're going to start a push to go straight for the Hidden King and maybe get the win here. And by maybe, I mean most certainly, Plot Armor was able to win over 0K here. Now, there is some invulnerables popping as Infernus does jump in and try to defend with the help of Mirage. Here comes a Tornado, but with the full control from Plot Armor, they're going to be able to grab the win over 0K, and they have now qualified officially for the Get Health tournament in August. So congratulations to them, man.
Okay. Kashi just tossed us right in because the script was written. They've got the Plot Armor, obviously. They're like Naruto or whatever. They can never die. So it's like, all right, let's just move them on. No, they played a fantastic game. We got to see just the tail end of it, but it looked pretty close, all things considered. But just a couple of folks had gotten away with some kills and gotten some souls in their lead. So Plot Armor, as you mentioned, they move on, but they have to fight through the lower brackets to maybe change up their seeding. You don't want to be the lowest seed and play one of those qualified teams in the first day. I mean, you've got to really up your standings throughout the tournament. But let's take a look at the scoreboard and see how the story unfolded.
Yeah, looking at it, it looks like it was a pretty big back and forth here, but in terms of what was going down for Plot Armor, their front line seemed to have just a great game there with mid-div playing Billy, but the damage from Wraith, which makes sense. We came in and saw her, pop a couple of kills and then run away with 42k player damage, objective at 22k, and healing at 14k. It just seems in general right now, Wraith is doing well in this tournament. It seems to consistently be putting out great games, especially in the mid to late game.
Yeah, and it makes sense that somebody has to step up in terms of heroes, because someone's picking Mirage, then they're probably banning Geist on the other side, so it's like, all right, who do you realistically got? Is it the Warden? Is it the Wraith? What are people more comfortable with, and what do we have on our side? So, okay, let's go with the Wraith, and seems to be doing a lot of work in these compositions, so fantastic stuff. Kashi, do we have a look at the bracket here? Actually, let's see, because we've had a couple of games that have concluded across the tournament so far. I want to see if we could take a look at that, if possible, because I know we've got a few more matches going.
If not, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick look at it on the website and see what has been updated. Cheesy Breads has won over the Patreon Pulverizers up to 1-0, and here we go. We have the actual graphic there. Thank you, Kashi. So Patreon Pulverizers have gone down to the lower bracket, and Plot Armor, who we just witnessed get the win, will be going on to face off against them. For Space Created, who we saw earlier, we are waiting for the University of Toronto and Berserkers to finish up. Regardless, that'll be a great match to see who will be eliminated. So our only current team that is in the upper bracket final right now is Paji Pop's team with Cheesy Breads.
And as you mentioned, I mean, it's 3:30 Eastern time, so I'm definitely hungry. I did fuel up before this. Usually I always forget to eat before cast here, Trick, but this time definitely made sure I had my fill before jumping into the booth. But yeah, this one I'm really excited for, especially if it's University of Toronto versus Cheesy Bread. The big thing between those teams is they are probably the most team-oriented teams, right? They've played a lot of games together through a lot of tournaments, a lot of leagues, things like that. So I think those two will be the most, head-to-head, right? But it looks like we're going to jump right into it, Trick. I mean, we're just going match after match.
Looks like we're going straight into it. University of Toronto and Berserkers, who are currently facing off right now to face off against the Cheesy Bread. So we are in the upper bracket semifinals at the moment, and we see there's currently a fight going there, and I totally missed what happened. Can you help me out here, Philly?
All I saw was the Infernus jumping in as the crystal was descent. What a cliffhanger trick. I feel like I'm watching like JJK season 3 or something. I'm like, I need to know what happens next. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Just go to any subreddit. They'll spoil it for you. Don't worry. Yeah, they got you, man. No worries. If we could figure out who is going to be getting that win off in particular. I didn't even see who Infernus was playing for, to be quite frank with you. I just saw the bartender dishing out some fire. And that was the note on that. Regardless, either team that does go forward against Cheesy Breads, I'm assuming is going to be well equipped to face them off. I think you were kind of hitting a little bit on this, that these are teams that are very coordinated and know what they're doing, and I think experience is probably the name of the game, right? Who's going to be able to pull off the victory in a online environment? I don't know how long Cheesy Breads have been together, but we know Toronto's been playing together for a long time. So it comes out of knowledge, right? Who knows who's able to execute at a high level?
Yeah, absolutely. And Pashipop, does the coaching, does some VOD reviews, used to do the YouTube stuff, whatever. So they know the ins and outs of the game, and I'm sure he doesn't pick his squad lightly, right? If he's topping out, I don't want to say competitive. This is competitive, but it's not like he's playing at the top tier level. But it looks like the game just ended for the University of Toronto and the Berserkers. So we're gonna pull up the scoreboard trick.
Cool.
Let's see who you got before you get your predictions in. I know you're betting, man, so we'll see who it is. But okay, while we're waiting for it to get populated, who do you think came out with the win?
It's hard because I saw Berserkers yesterday, and the matches of Berserkers almost looked like lightweight. Like they were kind of stomping a little bit. Like sometimes in the first day of tournaments and this type of group stages, you're gonna have some mismatches that happen. And Berserkers was looking incredibly confident. But with that being said, I really liked what I saw from Toronto in terms of understanding the ebb and flow of the game. So if I had to pick a team to vote for off of that limited knowledge, if you were like, do it right now or you never get to cast again, I'd be like University of Toronto, I think. Because I liked in the few games of what I've seen from them of being able to capitalize on situations that you probably wouldn't make a call for, but knowing the ins and outs of the game is something that's rewarding, and that's what I want to see at a LAN, right? I want to see people that never feel like their backs are against the wall, and if they are, they're still dangerous, and Toronto gave me that feel.
One thing I do love about LANs is being able to hear the team communication, right?
Yeah.
Because they are yelling or screaming to each other, even though they're sitting right next to each other, you still get to hear it. I love to analyze the communications, but we will have the MVP, the University of Toronto, win this matchup, and it's misclick on the Mirage.
Look at that. Okay, Toronto gonna be taking that win there, so they'll be facing off against Cheesy Bread, and Berserkers will be falling in a loser bracket. It's not the end of their tournament, just so you guys know, but we are definitely getting towards the end stages of this qualifier for the entire weekend. Both these teams are for sure going to be there for August, but we are definitely fighting for the seeding. Looking at the stats here, Mr. Philly, what are we thinking, man? These stats are looking pretty similar. It looks like it was a pretty close game. Did I lose him? Oh, it lost Philly, guys. All right. Last 20 minutes have been kind of overplayed. So here we go. Looks like we have some decent objective damage coming in for our top lane team. Big Fat B, how would he do? Because he was playing Bebop earlier. Okay, so this is something that I think Cheesy Bread needs to look at. Big Fat B is really darn solid on that Bebop and always effective. Despite having 7 deaths, still running that front line for the entire team. So I'm going to see if that's going to be actually focused on in the draft for Pashipop and crew. Remember, it is a best of one. You kind of want to try and take away comfort picks from your opponents if you are in a best of one. So we'll be looking at that. Down on the bottom side, looks like Hexy's performed well once again on that holiday. That has become a main flavor pickup for Hexy, so I would love to see some more Holiday for that to be played as well. So interesting all the way through. It looks like we even got an Apollo in the mix too, who did some pretty solid, decent damage. Philly, you back, bro?
I am. I don't know what happened. My Discord just crashed or something.
Internet.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But we now get an updated look at the bracket. So we have the University of Toronto facing off against Cheesy Breads. The winner of that will go into our grand final match, which will be a best of 3, and the winner of that gets the top seed going into the LAN. So that's pretty good, all things considered. On the other side, though, Patron Pulverizers and Plot Armor, Space Created and Berserkers. So some great matches happening throughout the day. And Trick, we are basically just getting started because we're going to be covering a majority of these matches.
Yeah, it's coming down to the nitty gritty for our teams for sure. I'm already starting to see a lot of like flavor picks. You know, we've seen a lot of Bebop in particular. You know, the Holiday on Hexy as well. So those are kind of things that we have to start thinking about in draft. It gets to a point where it's like, hey, do we maybe let the Doorman go through? Do we maybe let Pocket go through so we can disrupt their plans and whatnot? Like a lot of doing a LAN over the weekend. My favorite things is watching teams adapt based on what they are seeing from the opponents and the winning environments they're in, right? And you can find ways to break those apart. So that's something that I'm actually looking forward to Poshipop's team in general. I feel like they're just really intelligent in how they approach the game. When I listen to Poshipop talk, I go, oh, I didn't think about that element, right? And so I'm hoping that comes to fruition in the actual draft itself. I don't know. What about you, Philly? We've been watching a lot of these matches, man. What's been your favorite so far?
It's been a good mix of like the comfort and the meta. Right, a lot of times when we watch some other tournaments, it's just like strictly stay to these, 12 characters. If you're not playing these 12, 15 characters, you're playing crap, basically. It's like, well, here, a lot of teams are making a lot of different things work, and I like to see that, because that's my favorite part of the game, is the different cast of characters, how they interact together, the voice lines they say, the synergy of abilities, and what have you. So I really liked the compositions from Space Created, right, with the Vindicta and the Shiv, and just all this, just so much damage just being piled on there. Normally you see like good Spirit Burst compositions with that, but that wasn't the case. It was mostly like, we're just going to outgun you and out-tech you in that way and find the eliminations in that regard. So, I really like the things we've been seeing so far.
I think that's why I really enjoy where I know there's been some haters on how Yoshi's been balancing things and whatnot. We did have a month of like what is going on with the urn changes, but I think that was like a way to create a symptom for us to understand what's going to be happening in the jungle in general. And now that we have two objectives that allow for you to do urn turn-ins or go for the rift, we have started to open up different avenues for other type of characters to start really bubbling up. And so I think we're in kind of a healthy spot right now when it comes to the meta and how it's informing. And, I think once we get a nice jungle rework, hopefully that is actually happening at some point, we're just going to further that elevation, right? And allow for different characters to kind of pop off. We've been seeing roamers in particular doing well in this tournament, Calico been really, really important in a few of our matches. We have Holiday who's bouncing around. That might just be a balance issue. But, she's slowly getting nerfed down. We'll see. But I agree with you, man. That's what it's all about for me, is like, when people can play different compositions and excel with them because they have put work into them because the game rewards it for it. And that's why I'm a fan of Deadlock. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, there's definitely that learning curve, and these teams are riding it. But we also have to ride into a break, folks. We'll see you in just a second. Hello again there, my wonderful Deadlock friends. It's Philly, it's Trick, and you are tuning in to day 2 of the Guildlock Lan online qualifiers. We are now in the upper bracket final, which will be the University of Toronto versus Cheesy Reds. This one's going to be epic.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome, man. We definitely know we have a lot of teams here that are cohesive and spent time together as well. Intelligent play is always something that I look forward to. I love when somebody sacrifices something in favor of getting something else on the map, right? And I'm expecting to see a lot of that in today's matches. You know, we got a lot of players that have been focusing on a lot of characters as well that they have just started to excel at. I'm kind of hoping that we get a little more Bebop, dude, because Bebop's been kind of the star of the show today.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And the captain of Cheesy Bread, Chino, plays Bebop pretty prolifically.
Cool.
So we might see the Scrap Golem in the Cursed Apple for this match. But without further ado, Trick, we can go right into the draft. We don't have to go over any other scene. We can hop right into the X's and O's of this one. I would imagine probably going to be the Pocket and the Doorman to start. Yep, we're seeing the Pocket already.
Pocket already taken care of, and Sinclair being banned out by Cheesy Breads, which will leave University of Toronto in an interesting position to pick what they would like. They usually, if you're looking at the highest level play, you're looking at a Billy right now, or potentially a Doorman, right? Well, those two are probably the main focuses, but we get a Mirage immediate lock-in, and I wonder if Cheesy Breads is trying to target one of those two characters.
I mean, Misclicked has been playing Mirage basically all day, so I figured it makes sense just lock in that character for him. I think the ban here for the Sinclair, though, is to protect Ken, because they are a Dynamo 1 trick. And I think that it's even on their stat locker profile, it just sounds like a huge banner. So I would imagine a Dynamo might be snuck into the draft at some point. For now, though, they got to go with the S tier picks, and that's the Doorman and the Billy.
Yep, Doorman Billy. Okay, so we're going to get a lot of door shenanigans. Going to be able to see what exactly Doorman can bring to the table. Of course, his ultimate is great to get a quick little 6v5 or even pick potential. Just such great versatility from him. But University of Toronto will be able to enter back and grab Shiv, who has been a staple for a lot of our matches today. Being able to build him multiple routes, right? You can go a sustained base, you can go full green if you want to and trying to stay alive. You can add a little bit of spirit in there if you would like to poke down your opponents. Just gives you a great foundation to go for a draft. And then we get an early Viscus here for our third pick.
Yeah, and Viscus has been prioritized pretty heavily early in drafts over the last couple of weeks, right? A really great save, good sustain, so if the Shiv does dive in too far, you know, you can cube him and rescue beam him out of there, same with the Mirage, whatever it might be. It's good against the Chain Gang, what have you. So I do really like this Viscus pick. It's just good all around. You can build him, like you said, with some spirit and some utility, that sort of thing.
Sure.
So I like that for him. And then it's about who's going to play it for the side of University of Toronto. We saw the Shiv being piloted by Ferratical, so that's going to make sense. We'll see what the Viscus is, but there's that Dynamo I was talking about. Ken got his pick.
Yeah, and if Edu's watching, I'm gonna know he's excited. He's a bit of a Dynamo one trick as well, and he's very good at the character. But Dynamo brings in a lot of strength into a lot of compositions. You know, he's kind of fallen off from the last couple of months compared to when he was originally changed out to have his 2 be so strong, to literally just remove all debuffs from everybody. He was kind of overtuned, but he's still a solid character, really good at keeping people off you as well. And then, of course, as you mentioned, that singularity can be something that can just show up and change the entire tide of a team fight. And if you have a Dynamo main who excels at finding those opportunities, that's when we're in for some cinema, baby. So I'm excited for that. Now, Holiday is going to be banned out here for Cheesy Breads, keeping her off the table, and then a Furnace as well. But I am wondering, that leaves the table open for that Calico that we did see earlier. And so far, the Calico is looking okay. Not amazing right now. Doorman, although he is someone that you do want to kind of chase down, he has a lot of tools to get you off of him. So I'm not sure if they want to pull off the trigger there, but I did love watching, what was the player's name? Angad play Calico. It was a very, very great performance from him earlier, and I'm wondering if that is on the table here for Toronto.
Could be. It's just, as you mentioned, might be difficult to find some of those kills. I do like the ban of the Holiday, right, to protect the Dynamo, protect the Billy, because those are going to be your 2 big ultimates. They can't get picked out early, so I like that. On the flip side, the Infernus would be wonderful in this composition, right? If everyone's singularity in, you napalm them, you concussion combustion them, whatever it is. So I really like that. So these players thinking about the bans more than just what hero pools the teams have. It's about the composition, the laning phase, all of the rest of it. But as we move into the next phase of the pick side, I mean, I'm looking for an M1 carry for the side of Cheesy Breads, but they go for the Calico first.
Wondering if they think that University of Toronto just has such a great Calico player they want to take it away from them. There wasn't like a giant indicator here. Yeah, you do have Mirage, who'll probably be on the side lane here, but not something that you like need to go for. You know, Lash was still a great option as well. We know Yamato can be played by Pop, which would have been fine here as well, but they take away the Calico themselves, which is fantastic to see. Now putting Toronto on the back foot in terms of their draft, so we'll be having to see how that definitely unfolds here. One thing Toronto needs to be thinking about is how exactly are you going to handle the Doorman ultimates? One of the answers can be just get a strong frontliner that can hold space until your teammate comes back out of it, right? If you're able to push Doorman off of it and be able to sustain through it, then of course your teammate can come in and you can have your 6v6 team fight as normal. Abrams is a great candidate in that regard. Silver as well. So those are things that I'm kind of looking for here for Toronto, especially with Billy already being picked up.
Absolutely. The Calico makes sense. I do want to highlight for the folks at home that Affected is the substitute for Cheesy Bread. They are in for Axe in this match. And Affected plays Calico, one of their top heroes on Stat Locker. So it makes sense that your substitute, they might not be the most fresh or you know, the most warmed up rather, and so give them a character that they are proficient on and then work from there. On the flip side though, University of Toronto, as you mentioned, Abrams would be a wonderful pick here. I wonder if there's some more, like who else would go in the mid lane? I'm thinking, do you get a Paradox or something of that nature, maybe a Lash to help with some of your team fight capabilities? They go with the Venator instead, however.
Yeah, oddly, we haven't been getting too much Paradox. I wonder if folks are thinking that she's just a little bit too sporadic nowadays with the multiple ways that you can kind of turn in urns and whatnot and kind of avoid her and stay away from fights. But interesting not to see her as much because I think she's still pretty strong. But we do get the Venator coming out, which has been a nice, safe general pick. Allows for you to scale up. And the great thing about Venator, man, is that you can kind of build in multiple ways. You can go for hard carry if you want to with a glass cannon and whatnot, just full like siphon bullets to sustain through if you go against like a tank composition. You can also build into grenade build, which we've seen a couple of times today already, which is helping out for the harass, but makes him safe and you don't have to put resources in to keep him alive, which is just great in a draft. And then we do get that silver, which is now going to give a bit more control to the Doorman that I was looking for. In terms of composition, in terms of how it's laid out for Toronto, I like what I'm seeing. I do wish I had more of a roamer, but they might be looking for just kind of stay alive with that Calico now being on the board.
Could be. I'm looking for a big team fight impact. Right now they're kind of going for pick, but where's their catch, right? They don't have a lot of hard CC. You have the Bola, which is kind of soft. You know, you've got daggers to slow people up, whatever. Really the Dust Devil to knock people up, but is that really, you want to engage with that? I don't know. So they need somebody that can really kick off these fights for them or help with securing the picks should they find them. On the flip side, being hard to pick off is the Lady Geist, especially when she gets that farm online. So this is the M1 that they were looking for. Could be on Pop, has been the carry, right? Plays a lot of Venator, Wraith, Infernus, etc. So we'll see if that's the case, and they will go for the Wraith. That one, that's Pop right there. There we go.
I do like what I see from Cheesy Breads. The guys coming out now allows for you to stretch thin the opponent. You know, it's hard to get your full fights against a guy. Do you want to have a 2-on-1 on her? Do you want to have a 1-on-1 and just trying to hold out until things go your way? But that allows for Calico to be opened up to rotate and pick and choose where she wants to go if you stretch your opponent thin. And they have that option now with both Race and Guys. So it comes down to good macro and like who's pushing what and where based on where the objectives are at. So I like that coming in here for Cheesy Breads. And we do get a Gray talent for the final pickup. Okay, so now we get some bird shenanigans in the mix here, allowing for some coordinated rotations or even ways to get people off your teammates. So that should be a solid pick, actually. I really liked it a lot now, the more I'm looking at it. I was not thinking about Gray Talon, but I like it. What do you think?
I like it a lot, too. I mean, this is a natural closer for a draft that wants to play this pick composition, right? The bird is an excellent closer for finishing characters off that are low or trying to escape. You do have the trap if you can, coordinate that well and get some lockdown into it. Great Spirit Burst. Still can be squishy, but I mean, how are you going to get caught on the other side? If you take to the skies, can the Wraith get you? Can the Geist get you? Not really. So he can play safely from range against those characters. So I like this as a finisher for this pick composition. On the flip side, Cheesy Bread, though, I like this going for some team fight orientation, but they still have some strong carries towards the later game. This Calico, though, is going to be the X factor for me. We've been talking about that all day. Can she make an impact to really ramp up the rest of the team throughout the match?
Yeah, for Cheesy Breads, man, I'm just looking at most of their buttons, and I'm like, dude, Doorman can force anything, Billy can force anything, Dynamo can also kind of force things. He's more of like a disengaged kind of character with CC, but like, if you need to be aggressive, there are moments where that can occur. And then you have Wraith with the telekinesis. Like, they are in a good spot to be able to get fights where they want to in quick 2-on-1s or 1-on-1s, so a little bit more scrappy. Whereas University of Toronto, I think they have some pretty solid coordination that they can pull off here, right? You can get Silver to go in there and start creating an issue. Gray Talon flies in with a bird. Like, the vision is definitely there. It's just a matter of whether or not they're going to be able to farm up enough. You have 4 people here that kind of need to power up a bit. Gray Talon in particular. You got Venator who's wanting a couple of items, and you want Mirage who wants to get Toxic Bullets into Ricochet, right? You need to get those before you can become too effective. So if Cheesy Breads can set the pacing early, Toronto could struggle a little bit. But with that being said, we've seen Toronto play, and they make sound decisions. So I'm excited for this matchup because of that.
I'm excited for it too, and as I look more at these drafts, always a couple of questions come to mind, right? How is the laning phase going to go? Who's going to partner up with whom? When it goes to the mid-boss pits, how are they contesting it? So like Toronto, they've got the Dust Devil, they've got the Goo Ball.
Traps.
To go in. There's a bunch of traps from the Venator and from the Gray Talon. That's a great point. But they have to be set up. I feel like if they're in the pit, that's great. If they're trying to contest it, if Cheesy Bread starts it, could be disastrous, because as you mentioned, the Dynamo is really good at kind of forcing people away with the Kinetic Pulse or getting the Singularity online, the Luggage Cart to shoot people away as well. So I think there's a lot of advantages in terms of how these teams want to play around these objectives. We got to be the first to start it, which means we need to get picks first for the University of Toronto, where Cheesy Breads, they might just be able to force the objective and maybe get a fight.
I like that you point out Dynamo too. Like, if they're already set up and good to go, like, Dynamo has the potential here to make so many good outplays. I'm looking at Transcendence, I'm like, oh, I need to get that out of him before I go for my bird or for my full engage afterwards. Like, Dynamo here with him being a one trick should be licking his lips a little bit. He's like, bro, I could pop off this match, and you only got to pop up for one, and it's a best of one. So that is kind of exciting to see. Yeah, I guess we're now at the point here where you kind of have to pick who you think is going to win, Mr. Philly. And I'm going to put you on the spot first, because I actually don't know.
That's a really good question. This is going to be a back and forth affair. I want to say University of Toronto, just because I have faith. I know they got Johnny Deadlock on the team.
Sure.
Most likely playing the Silver. We'll see. But I like this. It's more difficult to execute, but I think it'll be good for him. We'll see as the rosters come up. Actually, Johnny Deadlock will be on the Viscous for this one.
Okay, Johnny Deadlock, someone get the copy pasta ready to go. We'll see if they're going to be able to pull it out. And another concern as I keep watching this, man, is like, there is a lot of soft CC, right? You have your bullet, you have your knockback, you have viscous punches and whatnot, but nothing that's like, I'm going to win now because I've locked you down compared to what Cheesy Breads has here, which is... And a MOBA, man, you want crowd control. You gotta lock down these folks. So we'll see how it goes. We head into this game. It is a best of one. Our teams have qualified for August, so the Guild House. So this is more of like a preview into what we could be seeing for the big old tournament. But let's go forward and see how it all unfolds.
And that's why we're here, Trick, right? We wanted to see some good old-fashioned deadlock, right?
Yes, sir.
It's always fun to see people compete. And so we'll take a look at the lanes here. We have a Wraith and a Calico being matched up against the Viscous and the Shiv. It's basically like, having a Rem Shiv or a Shiv Calvin, right? If he's got a healer, he's feeling pretty good.
Yeah, not a bad trade-off for them at all. And then, of course, on the opposing side, you have Dynamo and Billy. Going to be hard, or excuse me, it's not Dynamo and Billy. It's Shiv and Viscous you're talking about. But looking over to the middle lane, we got Doorman and Geist together. This is nice because Geist can just eventually at some point wants to lane to herself, right? She may even go to a side lane at some point, but Doorman can pretty much leave at any point after they get a few abilities going. Geist just needs like, I don't know, probably like 5-6k souls so she can have a couple of items going, and she just becomes a nice little regen monster that can kind of hold her lane for a long time with her great wave clear, with her one on those bombs, and then of course her poke being available, so that will be a fine lane for them. They do have Venator and Silver against them, but both just kind of want to farm up into their ultimate anyway, so kind of actually a timid lane, if you will.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Doorman will be the most active in this lane, trying to get the Spirit Poke down, maybe get bridge control, allow then the Geist to get up there and pop some shots off. So we'll see how that one plays out. On the flip side, though, the Great Talon and the Mirage, maybe not so much synergy here, but a heck of a lot of damage. Yeah,
they can definitely just kind of slow things down. Wondering if we're going to have Mirage build into monster rounds, because we do have the Mystic Burst for Talon, which makes sense, right? You want to have your arrow pop for a decent amount of damage. Here we do have Billy and Dynamo together, and Billy realizing that they might get pushed in pretty aggressively has already actually adjusted to that monster rounds, which is a great item to pick up if you feel like you're not going to win your lane. You get a little bit of regen, you also get the ability to clear out the NPCs quite quickly, and then we got a headshot booster for Dynamo, which builds in that Headhunter later on, which is a great pickup on Dynamo. He has a very effective and accurate gun.
The interesting part here is, like, this is a brick wall versus a ton of damage, right? So it's like so much spear with the Digen's Mark and the shots from the Talon, and then it's like, can the rejuvenating aura keep the Billy alive long enough for them to get some farm in this lane? They're really just trying to hold it down, make sure these two carries on the opposite side for the thinking don't get a ton of souls and don't lose their Guardian early. So we'll see how that one plays out, but there could be some kill potential on either side depending if they hit their abilities or not. So we're just kind of doing the farming game here for now, Trick, until we get some of those ultimates online.
Yeah, the biggest issue in that lane, just to add on top of what you just said, is also the verticality. Like, Great Talon being able to get up and Rain of Arrows down is quite the nuisance that you have to get control of. And also another point, too, is you don't want to be too defensive and sitting back on that lane, because if Great Talon goes for an ultimate and you can't disrupt them, then suddenly your teammate can get picked off, and that's where that snowballing can begin with that spirit scaling. But we will see how that unfolds. Middle lane, we got extra regen and velocity on Doorman, just looking to be able to secure their souls they hold, and we do have some boxes being stolen. Silver comes over to disrupt that against the Calico and puts a couple shots as affected, is forced to run away. Oh my gosh, a Billy death!
And we talk about it. It's a 2K for Misclick, the carry of Toronto. We said there's going to be a lot of damage pumped out from these two, and yeah, they got it done. That burst right from the Great Talon doing some work.
Parry, man, like, I am convinced as a Billy dude, you cannot throw out any punches until you know for sure that a parry is coming out. And I get it, you got the risk rewards, you got things you got to do, you want to work on those light attacks, but man, these pro players are so good at catching a sniff in there. Viscous is going to get cubed out and be able to retreat from now as they try to steal away that small camp. As Pachi Pop and crew are starting to control that lane. We already have a door being set up. That was some weird angles there, trying to get a push into the tower, but doesn't quite connect. I actually kind of love that door's placement. I'm definitely stealing that in the future.
And that was a try to get a quick camp, right? We see that it's coming in that room and steal it away, especially because they're trying to get jaw rate on this Geist online, right? That's going to be a bulk of their damage besides Pashi Pop. So if those two can really elevate, then they feel like they're comfortable going into this late game. So how do we suppress the Geist enough to make sure they're not a threat later on? But we'll see there as they're trading some more in the mid lane, getting pushed up in a lot of the lanes here, especially in lane number 1. We'll see if they fight back. It's for Radical, who gets taken down again, affected. The Calico off to a good start, and Pashi Pop will net one for himself. Here are the kills. They're starting to come through.
Yeah, nice pick up there with Calico and them together, but that middle lane, the poke finally comes out, and there will be a pick on Silver as well. So Dynamo rotating in from the far left lane to help out on the middle side there. Doorman did get low though, and Grey Talon is looking for the kill, as Grey Talon did rotate in afterwards, but doesn't quite find it. Extra charge coming out for Doorman to help out with those bells. And looks like he'll be able to get on home for the moment. So a little bit of aggression here in the early game, as we did have those buffs spawning at that 5-minute mark. And you can see how quick and effective both these teams are. Like, they know how to turn a situation into their favor. And that's what makes this game so exciting between these two.
Absolutely, yeah. I was looking at Cheesy Bread, right? They took a couple of losses early on, but they're ahead in souls. That just shows their proficiency at farming the lane, getting out those denizen camps really quickly. They're very experienced because overall, I mean, a MOBA is kind of a farming sim. You've got to get your economics online as fast as possible, and there's some of the great players that can do it. And these bells are just so detrimental. We talked about the spirit poke of this Doorman, and he is putting on a show in the mid.
Yeah, one of the things that I think a lot of people sleep on when it comes to Doorman is when he hits you with a bell, he actually disrupts your reticle a little bit. You're actually inaccurate for a bit. And that's very hard to deal with like a Venator or a Mouse 1 carry, so that's continuing to be an issue so far here in this middle wave. Now, we are starting to get a little bit of pressure on the Guardians. In particular, Cheesy Breads is pushing the middle of the map, but not really worrying about their side lanes as much. Wraith is kind of solo farming. Calico's able to start rotating around. Billy's been trying to hold on the far left, but they really have been applying pressure on that middle Guardian, and they get that one first. And this opens up Doorman to start rotating around and doing whatever he would like to do. The ultimates have been unlocked, and this is where you get that potential for roamers to be effective.
And speaking of effective roam, Affected got that great kill in the mid by going there. Now it's a door for Escape. The Baroness Hotel is called into action, but Connor's bell is rung. Like, luckily, his teammate in the lane is there, and that's a +8 for Big Fat B. Takes down the Possum Bot.
My gosh, we are seeing trades across the maps. We had a fight in the middle map to try and focus down that Doorman. They did get him, but Grey Talon sent a bird to the opposite side of the map to find a kill on Wraith, and that did occur. So there we go, a little bit of a spirit damage coming in. +8, no longer +10, as that has been slightly nerfed. But now we have Billy trying to get revenge for that kill earlier, diving in with those cages. Ooh, does jump up with an arrow, and somehow Grey Talon does survive. He's down to 20 HP, and Silver comes in and finds the final takedown, getting another pick on Cheesy Breads. University of Toronto are just pushing the gas pedal right now and not relenting.
Captain Chino maybe overstepped his hands. They put the chain gang, but there was no follow-up there. That's a great parry for the Calico. So we talked about the differences in the play styles of these teams based on their compositions and how they want to go. But I mean, all things considered, this is actually very close. It's not all about the kills, right, Trick? It's about how we're manipulating the waves. Are we getting our Guardians down? Are we getting the farm to the right characters? Are we getting the right characters eliminated? Yes, there it is, the gut shot to the spleen of the Aristocrat. And there is J-Rate going down.
Nice setup there by Engad. He put the grenade to bounce to the wall to cover that corner, and then uses 2 afterwards in case they tried to dodge it to get the fire up follow-up. It was actually just a checkmate scenario. Well done by Engad, and you love having money on top of the Venator. But yeah, going back to your point earlier where you were talking about, this game isn't about kills, right? Ultimately, you have to kill the infrastructure to win the game. Getting a kill in this game is an opened window for you to knock down the house of your opponent. And speaking of the house, Singularity comes out from Cheesy Breads. We're on double centers, and they are just straight up taking these away from their opponents and will Doorman out. Cheesy Breads working together and using the doors to be complete nuisances.
And this is the veteranship, right, and the experience of Cheesy Bread. It's a cheeky invade, but they know they can do it because they have the Doorman at their disposal. Yes, they use the Singularity, but you can't let the Lycan Curse get popped off. So just lock down the Silver. If you can get the kill, get the Sinners, that's a big swing of souls in your pocket. So right now, 2K ahead, nothing to write home about, but still, like we talked about, every step of the way, they've been accruing more souls and eventually feel like it might hit that critical mass where University of Toronto might not be able to catch up.
Good news for University of Toronto. We're actually looking at Mirage right now, who's already got the Cultist Sacrifice picked up. So this is a good spot to be in if you are a Mirage player. You have your Heal Bane to try and help out with any healing mitigation, especially on tanks if you want to fight around the objectives. But the Cultist Sacrifice allows you to accelerate getting into the mid to late game by farming up those items around the map. You also have the benefit of doing extra damage to NPCs. So you're able to clear out those troopers and camps very fast. So he's in a very good spot. You can already see it right now. 8.5 25k souls. Highest in the lobby. Right behind him, though, is Affected on Calico with 8.0k, which means they are in a hunting mood.
And they will have the opportunity to hunt, especially with the urn about to arrive in 30 seconds. But can they get any picks ahead of time? It was Posse Pop, who was incredibly low, and the bird from range. That's a +8 for Big Fat B, and he gets a big fat bonus to his ultimate. But they're still hungry for more. They want to chase down, and they will find the one trick. Down goes the Professors, and is this the Walker? No way. There's too many resistances for this to fall.
Getting some decent damage on it, and they are stacking Mirage right now. They do have troopers there. Billy's having to wait for Poshi Pop to come back, and yeah, you are correct. A little bit too early right now, but still, a quarter, almost half HP on a Walker in the early game is something that you're going to feel very good about, especially if you're able to escape away. And now we have the urn spawning as well, as it is the 10-minute mark. So buff set up and good to go. As you can see, Doorman right now has the green buff, gets punched in the face by a Shiv and drops it down. Shiv trying to chase. Viscous Cube actually comes out to try and keep him alive for the moment. Shiv trying to get locked down, but here's Doorman with the hotel.
Oh, he checks the Goo Man into the hotel. We'll see if he can escape. That's an ultimate well spent. The luggage cart into the wall, and one more shot will do it. A great turnaround there for Cheesy Bread, and I feel like University of Toronto, they just gave up too much space going for the Walker, and they couldn't get into the urn fight that they needed to, and they're losing members left and right.
Yeah, losing a few folks across the board, which is going to translate into some extra infrastructure. The Guardian in the middle was down early. The far Guardian was also taken as well. And I actually thought we would have seen Cheesy Bread pushing a little bit more for the Guardian, but they actually think setting up for an urn turn-in is going to be a little bit more impactful. They're sending Dynamo home already to heal on up and just letting the troopers be denied by the opposing team by letting them die to that Guardian. So a nice play by them as they set up to try and even up the souls here, maybe even get a little bit ahead here. It's a 51k to 50k. Let's see how far they go when they drop this urn off. Doorman's dropping it now. There we go. And we should see that pop up just a smidgen for him in general as he goes up to 52k to 51k and gets a total of 8,700 souls to his name.
I mean, that was a good positioning there for Radical. I mean, got a couple of denies on that turn-in. But this is the strategy for Cheesy Bread, right? Use your early game characters like the Calico, the Billy, what have you, and allow them to create this ramp for Poshi Pop, for Jarate to then scale into the game and win you these fights later on. Whereas University of Toronto, they're trying to do the same thing, but their early game characters not as much presence. And we talked about their setup. How are they finding these kills? How are they locking characters down? They have to be fortunate and play ahead if they want to catch Cheesy Breads out, but they're way too smart for that. That's a nice luggage cart for the Doorman.
I do like that Dynamo has started to pay attention to Poshi Pop and Wraith. Obviously, like the game plan is get Wraith fed, right? You want them to be in a good spot because Ray Talon has been trying to focus down that Wraith with the bird in general, and Dynamo gives some counterplay to that, being able to transcendence out. You see him constantly hovering in the corners. In fact, we just saw a play where Mirage tried to get to a fight with Grey Talon helping out, but once Dynamo showed up, they had to back away. Dynamo is just such a great saving grace for any carry that's trying to get to the late game, and we've seen it twice now. Poshi Pop has been poked by that bird, and he hasn't had to buy any type of defensive items. You know, normally if you get killed by a Grey Talon, you're like, should I go Spirit Shielding? You know, should I maybe look into anything else? And he hasn't made that adjustment, which makes me think they're adjusting based on the team comp and having Dynamo play a little bit more safer for him.
And that's what you have to do. Every game is different. If you think you can build the same build every single time, maybe you're not playing exactly right? You gotta adjust per what you're seeing on the other side. It will be the Rift now upon the Cursed Apple, and the Singularity is certainly ready, but so too is every other ultimate in the game trick. And we'll see how these two titans collide as they're battling for the Rift with souls and troopers ready to stampede. The Traveler now available for Misclick. We'll see how they enter the fight, or will they go for that Walker on the flip side? We'll see how this one plays out.
This is where I love watching Calico players. What do they do here? This is their moment to find one-on-ones, and Calico actually moved into a slowing Hex too, making it easier to find targets. But while Geist gets to the point, there is going to be a hotel popped on top of Shiv. Geist goes forward here with the tether. Dynamo pops the Singularity. It's going to be a kill on Silver. Cheesy Breads, just knowing how to find these moments and find these picks, have been turning things wildly on their side. There's also going to be an Angad as well, as Billy comes in with the chains, and they would love to find a Grey Talon. But with 3 picks and the total rift going in their favor, they're going to push that wave. And guess what? On the other side of the map, Pop has taken a Guardian and is moving towards a Walker.
And he took the life of Misclicked too, right? He beat him in the 1v1. He said, let's meet me on Rust, no scope, and we'll see who comes out the better. They get that Walker to boot. And this was what we were afraid of, right? Cheesy Bread, just superior team fight ability. There was a great 2-man singularity. People who were trying to escape after the chaos of that black hole got chained right back in. And they were taken down one by one. So University of Toronto, they can't take these fights straight on. They need to find the picks ahead of time. But Cheesy Bread, they're wary to the game.
Yeah, Pop getting that surge of power, which allowed him to do that. Whenever you're playing against a Wraith, I highly recommend getting familiar with your tab. Hit the tab button and look at the opposing Wraith and see what they have. If they have surge of power, they're going to be able to chase you down, so don't get caught out of position or you're going to be screwed, and that's what happened there for poor Misclicked. Okay, so let's take a damage report, Philly. What happened on that fight? We saw Rift go over towards Cheesy Breads. They went up in 10k in souls. They got 1 Walker and an additional Guardian, so they are in a nice commanding lead. But with that being said, Toronto did have a good early game. If you see, there are already bruised walkers, 1 on the far left and 1 on the middle side. So they're definitely still in this game right now. But Cheesy Bread took the lead in that last engagement, and now it's up to University of Toronto to wrestle that back.
And now might be the time, because there's no ultimates here for Cheesy Bread. So it's like, okay, we're not too far behind in souls. We've got them on the Mirage and the Venator, so we know we can deal some damage. The one thing that's concerning me is the Shiv is kind of low on the soul count. They're using this guided hour more for scouting purposes, right? Where is everybody on the map as they're trying to run this urn? And then we'll see what we can do. But I don't know, Cheesy Bread, they want to take these fights. They're pushing the tempo.
University of Toronto, not really in position here to stop this urn turn, and as you can see, we can see it, they can't see it. They don't know if he dropped off. Cheesy Bread dropped off a total of 4 there, and Great Talent, while she did hear, or they heard it coming around, because again, that urn's a talker. It yaps a lot. I think it's every, like, what, 10 seconds now it says something? So they are going to be able to hear that, but they were actually all heading back and buying and setting up for that fight, and it was just a little bit on the poor timing side. So the urn isn't get dropped off, and look at this momentum from Cheesy Bread. They are just pushing out their waves, grabbing all of the centers right now, keeping up this lead. We even find a nice hyper lane hit there on Shiv, who is going to disrupt him and push him on back.
Rick, you know what we need? At some point, we need to have some stretch goals, community goals of like a Trixler, a voice line pack for the urn, right? We can knock that.
Dude.
It's just
yo, pick me up, brother.
You're running where?
Yeah, I got souls for you. Come on, dip me in the pool. I'm down, dude. I'll write some stuff down.
Okay.
I don't even need ChatGPT. It'll come from my dome. It'll be great.
That's right. I'm gonna contact Newell right now. I'm gonna send him a nicely worded email and say, I got a great voice actor for you. His name's Trixler, and he lives in California. So easy stuff.
Yeah, dude. I would be in it. They could have it for free. That'd be sick. Ooh, nice little parry coming out here, by the way, by Doorman. A viscous punch comes out, and for those that don't know, you can parry the punches coming out of viscous. Some folks are unaware of that. A rebuttal is actually a great option if you're not very good at that, to get used to having the cooldown reduction and being able to nail those timings. But great play there by Connor in particular. And now we're a bit of a slow stalemate because we are getting ready for our next couple of objectives. And I want to see what University of Toronto is going to do. I'm used to them playing a little bit more aggressive and offsetting the map, but you can see they're a little shooketh right now. They are holding back at the moment. They know they have some good scalability, and perhaps they're waiting for Cheesy Breads to make a mistake, but I don't know if they're going to pull that off because Cheesy Breads has been so locked in so far.
And this is the tough part, because it's in these in-between moments where people are farming, right? This is a MOBA. You need to farm, you need to get your next item to power spike to then go into the team fight better. But University of Toronto, it's in these moments, that's where they have to excel, because they can find picks like that when people are out of position or trying to go for an invade, and then when they're out of player advantage, go into the next fight. But because they've been down for most of this game in terms of souls, they just didn't feel like they hit the power spike. But that's a rare mistake from Connor to get caught out. Let's see if University of Toronto can take advantage.
I'm actually really curious. I saw Mirage had a Torment Pulse ready to go. Shiv makes sense for a Torment Pulse as well. A few adjustments coming in here in this game. I actually haven't thought about putting a Torment Pulse on a Mirage, but it makes sense when you're playing against a Calico and a Billy. You want to be able to zap your opponent as well. These fights are going to be a little bit more up and forward, so see if they're going to be able to get that up soon. But now with the Rift being up, Shiv is starting to build out his rage to prepare for this brawl.
He was trying to take the Dynamo out of the fight, which is huge because the Singularity is available. The Warp Stone cooldown, not yet. The Rift has been secured, though, by University of Toronto. So, Trick, we call that a technical knockout, right? You didn't get any kills, but you created enough space to get the objective. Styler, however, will not be fortunate enough to escape with their life. They will go down, and maybe there will be more. It's the counter kills. That's a number of Jokers on Deadlock Johnny. He's slayed in cold blood.
Jeez Louise, man. Like, Wraith is one of those characters that I don't play because it requires aim. But like when you see what you could do with the characters, like maybe I should pick that up. Oh my gosh, 3 Joker setup, and this is the experience of a team that knows what they're doing. They found a kill on Silver and Viscous, and they go straight in for this mid boss. Shiv also being disrupted by Billy as well. Shiv trying to get away right now. Billy might be able to find a kill. Oh my gosh, another pick coming out as Cheesy Bread's just running away with this game.
And Trick, we talked in the draft how Cheesy Breads wants to be first to the mid boss, and so they know they have a better take and secure, and especially up 2 players. So they're like, okay, no one can stop us here, and no one's gonna stop them now. As plenty of people, especially Mr. Pashi Pop, on fire, 27,000 souls and Jokers in tow. This is not a guy you want to fight in a dark alleyway.
Yeah, dude, when I look at the top of the screen and I see the opposing rate as 28k souls and I'm not even at 20k right now, and then I check their items and say they have Ricochet, I'm scared. You know, I'm shaking in my boots, and I think that should be definitely something here for University of Toronto. Cheesy Bread's kind of exploiting right now this soul lead, but also just really turning up the aggression. They realize University of Toronto has gotten kind of timid. If you look at the map, you see them kind of hiding behind their walkers right now, just trying to take all the safe farm. And when you are playing safe and reactive, that's when the proactive team can really turn the tides. And Cheesy Bread is showing that in full of a showcase right now. This is great Deadlock when you're leading.
And Toronto, we know they can push the tempo. We saw that in their previous match, but they just fell behind just a touch. And sometimes that's all it takes to get your momentum off kilter, to get your mentality a little bit shooketh, as you say, and then you don't feel like you can play aggressive and go for maybe some of these unorthodox plays and so on. So we'll see if they can adjust moving forward. But now we're back to that farming state of the game, and maybe they'll be farming some heroes this time. It's in the form of Misclick, who just got run down. This lady Geist, too hard to topple.
Yeah, that's why Geist is a normal picking into a Mirage, right?
Yeah.
They want to be on the sideline trying to farm up and so, but a Geist can really meet with them and chase them down as needed. You get a couple of those 3 stacks on top of them, and then suddenly your Mirage is getting chased, and typically you just have your team rotate over, but then she has that ultimate that can turn things around so quickly, and so Misclick just completely gets picked off, and they still have 3 Rejuvenators can push down the lane. We already see them putting some damage on top of the base Guardians at 21 minutes, by the way. This is looking like 35-40 minute gameplay, and Cheesy Breads is just pushing the envelope.
Yeah, blistering gameplay for sure. And what I love about it is how efficient they are across the map, and that's something we highlighted at the beginning of this this match. Even when some people are going for the walkers, other people are going for the tier 3 denizen camps, or just eliminating the other farm. Because if you can stranglehold from a economic perspective, and thank you Yap Noodles, our observer, to highlight that right there, stealing away the farms and the golden statues, then you're getting so much more, because your team, the other team, can't get anything if they do get some reprieve. So I love the way that they're jungling backwards and utilizing all parts of the map.
Okay, so let's actually talk to Noodles real quick. Noodles, can you do me a favor and pull up the item list here? I want to look at University of Toronto and see if they're even close to turning this around. You know, we do know we see it for Mirage and we see it for Venator. There we go. Thank you very much. Weighted shots, Split Enchantment, Rapid Recharge. Okay, so Venator's ready to go. We do have Torment Pulse now built on the Mirage. I'm kind of looking for some Toxic Bullets and maybe some Ricochet, so he's still a bit far away before he's doing 2 damage, but he should survive a little bit. And then you look at the rest of the team. Yeah, you got Tank Buster on Grey Talon and a Silence Wave. The Silver also a bit scary here with the Berserker now and the Hunter's Fury. So there are some items here, but if you look over to Cheesy Breads, you know, you got Mercurial Magnum, you got Ricochet, you got Surge of Power. Like, Pasha Pop is at full build right now, where University of Toronto still has a couple of members that needs a few more items before they're effective. So it's kind of one of those scenarios where it's like, okay, where is Wraith? Stay away from her and find pick somewhere else.
Oh, that's that's the hide and seek
It's
from
easy.
Wraith.
Yeah.
No doubt. I'm looking at Styler though. What is their role in these engagements? Right? Do they play more of this kind of frontline silver? We haven't really seen the Lycan curse pop off here. So maybe that's what they're trying to do, just sustain, because who realistically are you going to pick off at this point? Maybe the Dynamo is if you can collapse on them, but then you find yourself out of position, and that's the Styler finding themselves out of position right now, jumping on the wrong person, and the Singularity will teach them a lesson they'll never forget as they go back to the gray screen.
Oof, man. And here's the thing. That is actually the right person you want to try and focus and try to do a 301 on top of Lady Geist. But this Dynamo coming out from Ken has been so effective. Calico comes in, finds a Venator as well. Ken, his Dynamo, if he's a one-trick on it, the reason why he excels on it is because he knows how to read the mini-map. And, you know, I might be saying that as like it might sound like, yeah, just read the mini-map. It's what high-level players do. But there's a difference between knowing what to do and how to be effective and when to counter-gank. And Ken in this game alone has stopped 3 potential kills for Toronto by just being in the area. He does such a great job of knowing where to be and when to be. So Toronto needs to get a handle on him, right? Where's Dynamo at? Where's Wraith at? And then how do we find a pick because of that? So far, like, look at Ken when we are in another scenario, if we're there, because this is starting to get towards a GG scenario. But Dynamo is constantly lurking in the shadows, which is kind of hard to do as a big guy, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. So that was a ritual reset. All 6 members were dead for the University of Toronto, and that list led to the base being ransacked, multiple base guardians, and at least 1 shrine taken. And easy come, easy go. They just take the doorman door out of there, and it's like they weren't even in the base at all, except for all the shattered pieces they left behind.
Gosh, Poshy Pop is about to buy another 6,400 item as well. Geez. And yeah, not feeling good, man. Urn is now up and available. These are scenarios where, like, if I'm in solo queue, my teammates are yelling, GG, it's over, this is the worst day of my life, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, bro, you need to get therapy. But Toronto right now needs to group up as a team of 6 and figure out what can be a surprising factor right now. We're at that point where they're 50k to 6k souls down. There is the option of trying to fight around the Rift, which you see them starting to stack up for those resistances that are available, but Cheesy Breads does the right play. They do an Urn instead, push out the other side of the map as well, and just don't take a fight they can lose.
And they know they can clear out these troopers. Yes, there'll be 14 of them or whatever it is, but with this Ricochet on this raid, they can clean it up, and they're cleaning up the kills too. There's Big Fat B, there's Deadlock Johnny in the grave. But can they take on the world? No, Pashibot finally felled in this fight, but can they turn it around? A number of players are on the gray screen. All the timers are ticking up for him. It's a Singularity to keep the werewolf locked in place. This can do enough, and he gets the team fight win.
What a beautiful fight there for Cheesy Breads. And here's the crazy part. Geist didn't even have her ultimate up yet. She just got it back during that entire fight. Poshy Pop came in, was able to do 1v3. You know, trying to find those hits is always important. I'm actually kind of wondering, is there a disarming hex available on anyone here for University of Toronto? I know you're so far behind, but at some point you need to have something that disrupts the opponent, because Poshy Pop at this point is so far ahead, he knows... I'm not seeing a disarming hex anywhere. Nope. He knows he can just stand there and fire away if he has 4 cards available. And that's what he did there. He was in the middle of a shiv and he got 3 immediate kills. If you've noticed this is Toronto, time to get a disarming hex and try to surprise him up in the future. But right now, I don't know if they're going to get another opportunity. Cheesy Breads turns around, grabs a Rejuvenator. The entire map is blue, and this is looking GG for me, bro.
Yeah, 100%. As much as we try to keep, not toxic positivity, friend, but, you know, we try to see both sides and see if there's a way into it. I'm not sure I see a way for University of Toronto. Sometimes we're like, oh, it's a big Lash ultimate, or if a Holiday can get a big hook or a Bebop, or, you know, or whatever it is. It's tough to see it right now. The players are behind, and the ones that they need, they can't get their jungle farm because it's being gobbled up by the Cheesy Bread squad. So now 3 rejuves in hand, they're just looking to finish the job. So we're looking for one final team fight before this one's said and done.
Gosh, the only one that seems to be able to safely farm is Mirage, just because he has 4 tornadoes, right? He got the Echo Shard on top of it, so he should be able to disengage. But right now, you can kind of see how Toronto is terrified of losing another member. They know it's game over if one more person gets picked, so they're trying to find a pick somewhere else as 5 runs over towards his Dynamo. Dynamo trying to escape here with the Unstoppable, does bounce around on the corner here, has that ground stop available, turns around, puts him up in the air, will get picked with their Rejuvenator, but here is a Doorman to help out, Billy.
I mean, he's just the distraction squad, because look at the rest of the team. Where are they? Inside the base, and they're killing any defenders that dare show their faces. And there goes the bulk of the damage off the board as Misclick has been killed once again. And just with the little goo man running around the streets of New York, I don't think there's anybody left to defend, and it will be victory here for the Cheesy Breads. They were hungry for the W, and they got it.
Good game. Well done, everyone.
Interesting game there for sure. Cheesy Breads kind of hung out until about the 12 to 13 minute mark when we started having up the urns and the rifts starting to spawn and whatnot. And then from there, they opened up so well when it came to macro. That is something that Toronto's probably thinking back on, is like, what could we have done at 12 to 13 minutes? Because like, the 8 to 10 minute mark, they were fine. In fact, they were even getting leads across the map. You know, they weren't killing the walkers and whatnot, but they were getting damage on them. So that's a game that was certainly winnable, but it looks like just 1 to 2 mistakes against Cheesy Breads and you're gonna falter quickly against them. Like, that was terrifying to watch. My gosh, who was the MVP? Oh yeah, that makes sense. That checks out.
I feel like from start to finish, Pashi Pop was teaching some lessons out there, the coach of Deadlock. So yeah, 51,000 souls, 10k healing. I mean, just doing the most, just all the objective damage. You saw him at that one point just eliminating all the base guardians one by one. So makes a lot of sense that he is the MVP for this.
Yeah, and for me, secretly, that Dynamo was such a great pickup. Every single time I saw his positioning on the map, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy really knows what they're doing. Can. Just constantly in the shadows, lurking, knowing where moments of opportunity are arising for Toronto and just shutting them down is a key indicator that a Dynamo knows what they're doing. So shout out to Can. I know he came in as a sub to play for this matchup, but you surely made your mark in that match, and I just wanted to shout him out for how well he played.
100%. And so it will be the Cheesy Bread squad who will be in the grand final, so a chance to get that top seed from these qualifiers, right? The University of Toronto, they go down to the lower bracket. They'll fight some other teams as well, and a chance to kind of build their repertoire, their prestige throughout the tournament. But that was one heck of a match, Trick. That will be the last game for us, too. We still have way more casters, way more games to show. But was there a highlight from the day, something that really stood out to you that you enjoyed?
I mean, did you notice I enjoy watching high-level Deadlock, so I just want to shout out all the players that came out and showed out. You know, even if I say something a little bit critical, you're all ultimately better than me, and I learned so much from you guys. So that's probably like what it came down to. Is like, I just really enjoyed watching the variety in characters that we got. We got a lot of different mix-ups and whatnot. We saw different compositions, and definitely we saw the best foot being put forward by our players. So I just want to shout them out. And then, of course, all the people at home that have been watching as well. Thank you guys for showing up. We do it for you, and I'm pumped for a LAN, dude. I hope to see you guys all there. I really do. What about you, Philly? What was your favorite part?
My favorite part is casting with you, my friend. It's always a good time to be in the booth and have Kashi and Yap Noodles on the back end here helping with the production. And so if you want to support Guildlock, you want to support these players, feel free to do the exclamation bar donation. Get that link and donate to the prize pool. We've got a couple of special contribution goals. I mean, I'm a Kickstarter fanatic, Trick. I always love to back board games, and so anytime I see stretch goals, I want to always get to the next one if I can. And so we've got plenty of them for you. I'm looking forward to those themed drinks, but I want some more.
I mean, Ido is going to wear a Mina cosplay. Like, anyone wearing a raincoat is good in my book, so I definitely want to see that happening for sure. A lot of fun things happening in general. I'm also really big on like behind-the-scenes stuff, so that $4,000 one is one that I really hope that we hit. I love watching documentary stuff and how events are ran in the background, and it's great for longevity, right? That's history that we can look at in 5 to 10 years when Deadlock succeeds, because we know this game is freaking awesome. We'll be able to look back and be like, man, do you remember when that little LAN happened in the corner of the world and it was a good time? Man, I'm gonna watch back on that. So yeah, some great stretch goals. Anyone that's donating and whatnot, appreciate you guys. You are what's running Deadlock right now. Like, this is all grassroots and we do it for you, and anything that you can contribute is very much appreciated.
That's right, Trick. I think you